Now the Democrats are coming.
Now to Decision 2020 as the Democratic candidates for president descend on Detroit.
20 presidential candidates will head to Detroit.
Democratic presidential primary debates. This time, the candidates are making their case in Detroit.
Two-night Democratic presidential debate event in Detroit.
Nathan Phillips, why did you lie about the Covington Catholic kids, Nathan? Nathan, why did you lie? Nathan, why did you lie? You ruined someone's life.
Why did you lie about the Covington High School kids?
Who?
The Native American.
The Native American guys over there?
elder that lied about the Covington High School kids is over there. There he is. He just waved.
Okay, so the guy who
Why did you
lied.
lie about the Covington High School kids, Nathan Phillips? Nathan Phillips. Why
He
did
lied
you
about his
lie
veteran
about the
status.
Covington kids?
He lied about his veteran status, too.
Why did you lie about your veteran status? Why did you lie about the Covington High School boys, Nathan?
So Nathan Phillips over there, the guy who ruined and smeared the Covington Catholic High School and the Covington Catholic kid from that incident, they're giving him media attention. He ruined someone's life. People were saying to bomb that high school, burn it down, and they're giving him attention. Look at them. That guy should seriously be disavowed right now. They should be telling him to leave. They don't want him around. But Millie's stuff over there, anybody with a Trump shirt on, they're disavowing, they're mobbing, they're pointing at fingers. I cannot believe this. Nathan Phillips, why did you lie about the Covington Catholic kids, Nathan? Nathan, why did you lie? Nathan, why did you lie? You ruined someone's life. Holy crap, what a coward. Look at him standing over there, hiding over there, literally trying to keep out of the way. He ruined some kid's life. People were getting death threats at that school, and he runs away from it. What a coward. I'm stepping back and they're still pushing.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
You're always violent, aren't you?
I believe that we will win. 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 I believe that we will win.
Phillips keeps running away from me. Nathan Phillips keeps running away from me every time I try to ask him a question. They're getting violent.
Nathan Phillips just came up and he blew something in my ear. Nathan Phillips.
This is the guy that everybody defended until it came out. He's a psychopath.
Nathan Phillips was pushing Justin and trying to get Justin instructed, and then after he pushed you, that's when everyone came and started pushing you, attacking you. So he's leading by group mob rule, and it's just ridiculous that he supports that.
Okay, so apparently they're going to mob rule. They just said,
I believe that we will win. I believe
to this, but here they are. Psychopaths. All of you are psychopaths. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
I believe that we will win. 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 I believe that we will win.
I see you have some InfoWars signs. Hi. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, you're good. What kind of, oh my gosh, right here. Okay, so this is where you can go to find the Clown World coverage from today and tomorrow.
Clownworld.us, InfoWarsStore.com.
He's got it down, wow.
Facebook and Instagram banned conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
I am now completely banned.
Now, InfoWars, of course, is that web show and website led by rageaholic Alex Jones.
I want them shut down. I want them silenced. I want them muted. I think they are horrible for our society.
These people aren't terrifying or anything.
But there's also guys on CNN that spend their whole day calling Facebook and saying, can you ban this person?
These are very extreme individuals, and no matter what anyone tells you, they are extremists, and that's why Facebook decided to get rid of them. Basically, they've deemed these individuals to be dangerous, is what Facebook is saying. Those individuals include people like right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Organizations like Media Matters have pointed out consistently how Alex Jones and other InfoWars pages had just simply circumvented any ban by starting a different account or going on Instagram.
If you don't like someone on Facebook, don't follow them. It's not that hard to figure out.
Facebook, are you gonna do something about the liberals who call me the N-word? No, because big tech is only interested in going after conservatives. You know, the really dangerous ones.
Dangerous as in saying things that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't like.
President Trump retweeted Paul Joseph Watson twice, and a brief video by InfoWars' Millie Weaver. Social media's hall monitor, Brad Stelter, was not very happy about it.
He is promoting the same alternative universe as InfoWars.
Back to your point, though, about the InfoWars presidency, I want to know, and I tweeted this the other day, what is the difference at this point between Trump's Twitter feed and InfoWars.com?
InfoWars content is useful to him. InfoWars personalities align with him.
I want them shut down. I want them silenced. I want them muted. I think they are horrible for our society.
I want them shut down. I want them silenced. I want them muted. But don't worry. These people aren't terrifying or anything.
InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
Okay, folks, we're live on July 31st, 2019, and they're singing the Star Spangled Banner right now, which the left says ban the American flag, get rid of it at universities. Kaepernick says take it off the shoes, but they still got to at least admit it to the general public. So let's go ahead and play this live feed for you. Here it is.
The home of the brave.
Land of the brave. So we're here for the next 3 hours and calls after it for the second night of the second round. So this will be deuce or four. Deuce is two, it's double deuce. Quattro. We're here for Quattro debate. And they're about to make their announcements. This is, I have to say, slit your wrist last night. It was so boring. But like you said, the long knives are coming out for Joe Biden, constitutional lawyer Robert Barnes.
The debate will begin right after this.
Well, what's amazing is that at least everybody remembered. Tim Ryan couldn't remember that they're supposed to do the pledge yesterday. He just said he completely blanked on it while they were singing the song. But then a lot of them have Buttigieg disease, I noticed. Like all their hearts are near their stomach for some reason. You know, it was like Biden's hand is down. He was like, I thought the heart was up here. But for some reason, they can't find their hand over their heart. It's always below. So like 2/3 of them were that way. It's all Pledge of Allegiance here. So well, I mean, they openly say America was never great. It's never been that great. I get it. If America isn't perfect, then go to another country. But they want to dominate this country. They want to steal the wealth of it. That's really the big game plan. Yeah, it's like Merle Haggard saying in 1969, "Love it or leave it." You know, he goes, "Hey, I don't mind you joining another side doing something, but just don't sit here and tell me how I suck all day, or I'm going to punch you in the face." Yeah, exactly. Or you can head out. You know? Go join the other side. Exactly. If you want to be on the other side, join the other side. If you want it's like being on the same football team and like telling you how much you suck. Exactly. It's like, no, get on this side. Yeah. Go try for the other team. Go put on a helmet on the other side and you'll line up and see if you're willing to do that. None of them are, of course. I mean, there isn't a huge problem of immigration from the United States. There's a huge problem of illegal immigration into the United States. Yet the country that's so terrible, so horrible, so awful is the country that everybody wants to come to and nobody wants to leave.
They're coming back from break with this, and we've got Owen Schroyer and the rest of the crew in the next studio. We're going to have live coverage of this night. I mean, this is going to be a lot more, I think, interesting than last night.
Yeah.
Last night was horrifying with the world's going to end in 10 years, 12 years. That was the debate. But pulling back from this, we do have globalists trying to collapse this country. We do have them trying to create division. And I just see desperation from the Democrats. I don't see any type of confidence here. So is there something hidden in the dark I don't see, like Hillary or Michelle running for president? What do you think?
I think the Democratic establishment really believes either Biden or Harris will be a viable candidate for them. They live in enough disconnect that they don't realize.
So they thought Hillary.
Exactly. In the same way that they thought Hillary was a viable candidate and a good candidate. They don't recognize their limitations and won't recognize their limitations, I don't think, until Election Day. And they're sort of the biased polling that creates this.
So it's a repeat of
2016. And I think everything about it leans in that direction. If you're Trump or you're Trump's people tonight, you're Trump's fans tonight, you're hoping Kamala Harris does well and Biden looks bad because they see Harris as the weakest candidate. You hope Tulsi does well because she exposes the Democratic Party as the pro-war party by her anti-war stance. So I think that's where you're watching it. If you're big tech, that you're hoping that Tulsi doesn't talk about big tech on a national stage.
Exactly. I want to be clear to viewers and listeners because every person counts. When we're streaming this out, we had like last time we did it a month ago, it was like 1.2 million one night, 500,000 the next night, which the second night was the bigger night, but people get really bored by it. I get it, but we're here covering it. These are millions of new people. CNN, on the regular show, doesn't have 1 million viewers. It's you text messaging, emailing, calling folks and saying, hey, there's a censored version of the debate with Patriots covering it, Infowars.com/show, clownworld.us. Let's go to CNN, the Communist News Network from Detroit with the Clown World second night, Joe Biden, all of them up there. Let's go to it live right now.
Please refrain from interrupting other candidates during their allotted time. A candidate infringing on another candidate's time will have his or her time reduced. We again remind our audience inside the Fox Theater to try to remain silent when candidates are actively debating. The candidates need to be able to properly hear the questions and each other.
Let's start with opening statements. You will each
As if CNN ever followed any rules. They rigged the debates 3 years ago against Trump. Still
to
failed.
the working people of America, tonight,
welcome, comrades. Free stuff.
Hope.
I'm the 10-foot
make
tall
change
pedo.
In this country, I know from personal experience it can be done. When I became the mayor of the nation's largest city, I set us on a path of bold change. They said it couldn't be done, but we gave pre-K to every child for free. We got rid of stop and frisk, and we lowered
Put
crime.
your 2-year-olds in government
We raised
care.
the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Yes, it can be done. Now, tonight, we have to
trying to
get
steal
to
from
the
Obama
heart and
there.
soul of who we
Yes, he
are
can.
as
He's
Democrats.
just such a creepy pervert.
There are good people on this stage, but there are real differences. Joe Biden told wealthy
There you
donors.
go. First attack.
The attack, it's, like you said, it's going to be just like Julius Caesar.
Kamala Harris
It's beat
said
up old people day.
She's not trying to restructure society. Well, I am. For 40 years, working people have taken it on the
Here's the
chin.
crying tone.
He doesn't go to communist countries because there's no blood to suck, though.
Exactly.
And they paid less and less in taxes. It cannot go on this way when
Because they
I'm
funded the leftist
president.
movement.
We will even up the score, and we will tax the hell out of the wealthy to make this a fairer country.
As if they won't move offshore.
Sure, it's
Yeah.
a country that puts
And he really means
working
everybody.
people first.
Thank you, Mayor de
Protest?
Blasio. Senator
It was a
Michael
protest.
Bennett.
Wasn't there a protest on
Last
stage?
week, I saw one of those Trump signs that says,
Man, this guy
America,
redefines milk toast.
love
Eddie
it
Munster?
or leave it.
Yeah, Eddie Munster. It is Eddie
And it was
Munster.
on the outside of a church. I love America,
How fake these people are. Jesus.
and I know we can make it better. Before coming to the Senate, I ran a large urban school district where most of the kids live in poverty.
Someplace like
Those
Baltimore.
kids have exactly the same hopes that I had.
How sleepy this guy is.
Their parents have exactly
Took
the
12
same
hits,
hopes for them
Yeah.
that my parents had
They
for
give
me,
Biden upper pills. They gave this guy downers.
and that Susan and I have for our 3 children.
I'm a human
For
like
the
you.
last 3 years,
I have children.
That's one of the drinking
We've been
game kind of
consumed
things.
by
How many
a
times they mention
president
their own kids.
who frankly
Their own
doesn't
kids
give
are a
a
life
damn
story. So
I have children.
about your kids.
I am not from
or
the
mine.
dark star imploded nova.
Mr.
I am not from
President,
black hole to kill you.
kids
I am not
belong in
globulous,
classrooms,
the satanic demon.
not cages.
Give me your soul. Excuse me. I mean a liberal. Thank you, Satan.
And they deserve something better than a bully in the White House.
They deserve satanic death.
Let's end this
Abort
three-ring
all
circus
babies at birth.
in Washington.
Hail Satan.
And let's make this election about reclaiming our future for our kids and our democracy. Empty promises won't beat Donald Trump.
I will take 10 hits of ecstasy a day, as well as other drugs like Ritalin.
Good evening. I'm Jay Inslee. I am running for president.
God, these people, I'm not being mean. They're all, they don't have the spark of a mushroom. I mean, my God.
If we make defeating the climate crisis,
if we don't pay Rockefeller money,
we will have a fighting chance to save ourselves and our children.
China, India make no cuts, 160 countries, but if we cut off our power, if we don't have any electricity, we have fighting. Imagine Chicom. America, turn your power off. America, turn your power off. America, turn. Literally, this is an enemy transmission. Turn your power plants off. Turn your power. It's liberal. Turn your. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think he added glasses to make people think he's smarter.
Turn your power plants off. No one else will, but you should.
I've been working on this for
I'm pretty sure he didn't
years.
have glasses last
Now
debate.
we know this. We're at a tipping point. And
That was,
whether
what's his
we
name, the Texas
shrink
governor?
from this challenge,
Trump did that out.
Perry did that.
Yeah.
I have family that does it. They're nice. You know, they just wear glasses. There's not even lenses. They just wear them.
Yeah, exactly. Gives them. It does people think you're
we
smarter.
can defeat the climate crisis. Let's get to work.
Yes, pay the Rothschilds. Yes.
My grandmother taught me that nothing's impossible.
My grandma taught me how to be a
generations organizing
roadside.
women in upstate New York.
Did you teach
My
her
mother
to take
taught me
donations from
nothing's impossible.
sex cults?
She was one of
Like,
only
and
two
she's
women
next to
in
him?
her law school
She's connected
class
to them, yeah.
and worked with gay couples for basic rights.
My mommy
If you want to
taught
get
me
something
how
done,
have
just
sex
tell me it's
life.
impossible.
It's liberal.
As a freshman senator, I was told you couldn't repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
All these fakes.
Even members of my own party told me it wasn't convenient. When are civil rights ever convenient? We
That's
stood
right.
up to the Pentagon and we got it done. Not
We
possible.
got it done.
10 years ago, I was told you couldn't pass health care for our 9/11 first responders, those heroes who raced up
Who
the
told you
towers
that?
when others were
Nobody
coming
ever
down.
said that. Nobody said
Even
no
when Congress
health care
turned
for
its
the
back on them,
firemen.
we kept
Nobody
fighting.
ever said that. Nobody ever ran
Just
on that
last
campaign.
week,
But
we
she's
made the 9/11 health
you're the
bill
bad man. Be quiet.
permanent.
Yeah, exactly. Got to work on my bigotry.
Yeah. Oh.
Beating Donald Trump, definitely not impossible. We need a
Is for you,
nominee who will
yes.
take on the big fights and win. We need a nominee who doesn't know the meaning of impossible.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Could you be Fager?
In order to do that which is impossible,
It's why I
pretend it's
enlisted
not.
after 9/11. I've served as a soldier for over
All
16
white, smart outfit.
years, deployed
Nice.
twice to the Middle East, and serve in Congress now for almost 7 years. I know what patriotism is, and I've known many great patriots throughout my life. And let
I'm
me
not
tell you
ready to
this,
star in
Donald
this
Trump
movie.
is not behaving like a patriot. As president, I will bring this spirit of real patriotism to the White House, serving the interests of all Americans, not just the rich and powerful.
Oh.
I'll fight for our rights and freedoms of
Well, the
all
whole corporate
Americans,
media is attacking
upholding
Trump
these
because he's
principles in our
the
Constitution
insider.
upon which our country was founded. Fighting for justice and
She's a little
equality
nervous tonight.
for all. Fighting for every single American, regardless of
She's
race
more
or
robotic, but,
religion,
I mean,
as
she
we
is good
strive
looking.
towards that
Oh,
more
yeah, yeah.
perfect union. And as president, I'll
That's
bring
rape,
this
though.
unifying spirit of love for
I just
country
raped her, like saying she's
and
good looking.
the soldiers' values of service above self to the White House, truly leading a government of, by, and for the people.
Secretary
She's
Julian
prostrated
Castro.
herself for the system.
Thank you,
Oh, we need to have trans men have babies
just a few days
and
ago,
abortions.
we were reminded and
Robert, did you have your abortion
inspired
this
by
week?
our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico that
In his
public
defense, he may have
service
knocked up a
is
guy.
not fundamentally about any of us. It's about you and your family.
No, he gets constipated.
I want you to
Seriously,
know that
it's
if I'm
like,
elected president, that I will work hard every single day
look how
so
fake
that
he
you
is.
and your family
I will
can have
work
good health care
every single day to make sure
needed,
men can have
so that
abortions.
your children and grandchildren can
Yeah,
get a
he
good
said that. I
education
mean,
so that
this
they
is
can reach their
cuckoo
dreams.
land.
The funniest line
You
these
can have
guys
good
always
job
say is,
opportunities,
if I am
whether you live
president
here
or
in a
when
big
I am
city
president.
like Detroit
ACLU
or in a small town
says, oh, it's a
in our
stereotype
country.
that men are stronger than women.
I know we
Let
have
men
a
dominate
wonderful,
all the sports.
special nation,
Exactly.
but the too
Truth
many
has
people
now
are
become a
struggling.
caricature and a
I know what
stereotype.
that's like too. I grew up with a single mom in a poor neighborhood.
That's a drinking winner.
But like many of you,
That he
I
would
don't
mention,
want to make America
Like many of you,
again.
I was aborted.
I don't want us to go backward.
Which was
We're
a,
not going
I was a,
back
my
to the
mommy was a
past.
tranny.
We're not
Yeah,
going
and she
back
aborted
where
me.
we came from. We're going to move forward. We're going to make America better.
We're
than
gonna
it has
abort
been in
tranny
years to
babies.
come. Let's do that together.
Let's abort
Hey, he
men's
didn't speak
babies.
Spanish.
Andrew Yang.
He'll speak Spanish before the night's over.
If you've heard anything about me and my campaign,
Uniform
you've
basic
heard
kit.
that
I've got free money. Yay.
every American
Basic.
$1,000 a month.
$1,000
I
a
know
month.
this may sound like a gimmick, but this is a
Universal
deeply American
basic
idea,
income.
from Thomas Paine to Martin Luther King to today. Let me tell you why we need to do it and how we pay for it. Why do we need to do it? We already automated away millions of manufacturing jobs.
He's doing better
and
tonight.
chances are your
He was
job
too
could
quiet
be next.
first round.
If you don't believe me, just ask an auto worker here in Detroit. How do we pay for it? Raise your hand in the crowd if you've seen stores closing where you live.
Participatory. That's
It is
smart.
not just you.
First one to
Amazon
do
is
that,
closing
3 debates.
30% of America's stores and malls and paying zero in taxes while doing it. We need to do the opposite of much of what we're doing right now, and the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. So let me share the math. $1,000 a
Asian
month
guy
for every
likes
adult
math.
would be
That's the slogan.
$461 million every month right here in Detroit alone.
No stereotypes there,
The
obviously.
automation of our jobs is a central challenge facing us today. It is why Donald Trump is our president, and any politician not
Well, he's not
addressing
wearing
it
a
is
tie,
failing
though,
the
so-
American people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did that again. The no tie thing.
Yeah, free money. Yeah. As China invades Taiwan and
the United
So Booker's just like Beto. He's trying to imitate the
an
Trump outfit.
American
oh look,
city,
Chloe Booker.
calling it a
Spartacus.
disgusting, rat-infested, rodent
There's a protest
mess.
group, isn't there?
Hey, can we cue up?
We need a nation that understands that these tired, old language,
That's great. They interfered with Spartacus. Poor Spartacus.
Can we cue up?
Stand by, Senator.
Where Cummings says it's rat infested or drug infested? Look at Booker. He's so pathetic. Like, the media likes me.
He couldn't handle
CNN
it.
has no viewers.
He couldn't handle a few protesters? How pitiful. I mean, Trump had protesters at every single rally.
Please continue, Senator.
Thank you very much. Donald Trump, from Charleston to Baltimore to even the border, is using the tired old language.
How fake does
Charleston.
Charleston look?
Of
He got Charleston
fear-mongers,
confused with
of
Charlottesville.
Racists to try to divide our country against
Where's Biden?
itself.
Yeah, he's up late.
We
Got
know
the pills
who
going.
Donald Trump is. But in this election, the question is,
Did they give him the
who
Viagra of
are
speech?
We as a people? We have serious problems in America.
How
We have
disingenuous.
deep
He's so fake.
wounds.
I mean, I'm not just. I mean,
Seriously,
these people are
deeply
so
rooted
fake.
He should wear less makeup
We
too.
desperately
It's why
need
they sound.
to
It's why they're
heal
more
as a
tolerable
nation
verbal
and
than
move
visual. You see their
forward.
fakeness visual.
Because we know in this country that our fates are united.
In trying to do that
we
emotive
have
voice,
a common destiny.
that fake emotive
The
voice.
call of this election is the call to unite in common cause and common purpose. That's how we will beat.
Hey, let's
Donald
play
Trump.
Elijah Cummings
That's how I will beat
from 20 years ago talking about the infestation of Baltimore. Here it is.
This morning, I left my community of Baltimore, a drug-infested area, where a lot of the drugs that we're talking about today have already taken the lives of so many children. The same children that
All right, that's enough. Let's go back to Cory Booker.
And Kamala Harris.
Oh, Kamala Harris, the Chi-Com operative. Let's hear from her.
Who are we? And I think most of us know that part of the answer to that question is we are better than this.
Her mic's not on.
So this then becomes
So they had
a
to
moment
turn someone else's
that we
mic up.
must fight
They just like
for
last
the
time, they
best
can't even turn the mics on.
And fight, of course, we will. And this is not a new fight for us as Americans. We have always been prepared to fight for our ideals. We have
Their
always
union
been a
can't
nation
even plug
that
in
fights
mics.
for
Folks,
the
if you don't
best
know, I know
of
the
who
sound.
we are. And I'll tell you, I come from
Well, they
fighters.
fixed
My
it just now.
parents met when they were active in the
they
civil
did.
rights movement.
It
My
took 'em
sister Maya and
half
I
of our
joke,
opening.
we grew up surrounded by a bunch of adults who spent
not sure about the
full-time
whole
marching
gray
and
on.
Well,
shouting
they've still got it
about
both
this
open.
thing called
They're-
justice. And I am prepared to march with you, to fight with you for
This
the best
damn America.
of who we are,
Deal with it.
and to successfully prosecute the case of 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And against him.
I mean, that's what she meant to say. She said 4 years more years of Donald Trump. She's like, no, I mean 4 more years against Donald Trump. I mean, against 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Sleepy.
We'll get it.
Creepy.
I'm running for president to restore the soul of this country.
Oh, you can't even talk.
You know, we have a president, as everybody's acknowledged here,
Listen
every
carefully.
day is ripping at the
I don't
social
believe
fabric
only
of
in
this country.
reproductive.
But no one
freedom.
man has the capacity to
Would
rip
your
that
plan
apart.
cover
It's too
abortion,
strong.
Mr. Secretary?
We're too good.
Yes, it would.
Just look at this
I don't-
stage, made up of very diverse people from diverse backgrounds. Went on to be mayors, senators, governors, congresswomen, members of the cabinet, and yes, even a vice president. Mr. President, this is America. And we are strong and great because of this diversity, Mr. President. Not in spite of it, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, let's get something straight. We love it.
He wrote it out.
We are
didn't he?
not leaving it. We are here to stay, and we're certainly not going to leave it to you.
Wow, he just reversed, basically, Merle Haggard.
Yes.
What you said today on my show.
Yep.
You don't love it, leave it.
That was a good opening by Joe. They got him drugged up tonight.
Top priorities for Democratic voters, and that is health care. Senator Harris, this week you released a new health care plan, which would preserve private insurance and take 10 years to phase in. Vice President Biden's campaign calls your plan, quote, a have it every which way approach, and says it's just part of a confusing pattern of equivocating about your health care stance. What do you say to that?
Well, they're probably confused because they've not read it. But the reality is that I have been spending time in this campaign listening to American families, listening to experts, listening to healthcare providers. And what I came away with is a very clear understanding that I needed to create a plan that was responsive to the needs of the American people, responsive to their needs, understanding that insurance companies have been jacking up the prices for far too long, that American families...
All right, fade this
have to
down.
be-
Okay, the healthcare industry and the insurance companies with Warren Buffett wrote Obamacare. They bragged about it. Jonathan Gruber bragged about it. And they wrote it to triple prices on people. And they said, oh, then once it's bankrupt, they'll ask for single payer or government run, but then we'll manage it and still have insurance companies to get the profit.
Right.
So it's the big 3 insurance companies bankrupting it, and she sits there following the plan. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's backed by a lot of those key executives. This is, I think, her 5th position on insurance because she was against private health insurance, and then she said she was for it. Then she said she was against it. Then she said she was for it. Then she said, no, maybe I'm against it, and tonight she's for it. So, but she's only for a partial private health insurance plan. In reality, her plan is closer to the Obamacare 2.0.
And let's be clear, when you make government behind something, it drives prices up.
Oh, right. And not only
We had
that,
the best healthcare in the world 30 years ago. Now it's pretty messed up, not better than a lot of places. They're just like, more free, more free. It's already free to the illegals. It's already free to poor people.
Right.
It's
yeah, I mean, it's very much, it's a plan designed to help insurance companies and rich insurance companies.
And they admitted that Obamacare was that plan.
Right. Oh, yeah. Looks like Obama's going to take a shot at Kamala. I mean, Biden's going to.
Yeah, let's go right out of this.
The single most important issue facing the public, and to be very blunt and to be very straightforward, you can't beat President Trump with double talk on this plan.
Your response, Senator Harris?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Vice President Biden, you're just simply inaccurate in what you're describing. The reality is that our plan will bring health care to all Americans under a Medicare for All system. Our plan will allow people to start signing up on the first day. Babies will be born into our plan, and right now 4 million babies almost are born every day in America, or every year in America. Under our plan, we will ensure that everyone has access to health care. Your plan, by contrast, leaves out almost 10 million Americans. So I think that you should really think about what you're saying, but be reflective and understand that the people of America want access to health care and do not want cost to be their barrier to getting it.
Senator Harris, thank you. Vice President Biden, your response?
The plan, no matter how you cut it, costs $3 trillion when it is in fact employed. Number one, 10 years from now, after 2 terms of the senator being president, after her time. Secondly, it will require middle-class taxes to go up, not down. Thirdly, it will eliminate employer-based insurance. And fourthly, what happens in the meantime?
I'd like to respond. First of all, the cost of doing nothing is far too expensive. Second, we are now paying $3 trillion a year for health care in America. Over the next 10 years, it's probably going to be $6 trillion.
Well, Biden literally was going along with this before, but now he's just back to reality. Because the polls all show is like, no, the world's not free, lady.
Exactly.
And she doesn't know what to do. She's like, well, the cost of doing nothing is too expensive.
Right. He's trying to persuade big donors that only he can beat Trump. And this is his way.
He's doing a lot better than last time.
Much better. Like I said, some sort of drug they got him going on.
And cost should not
Thank
be
you,
their
Senator
barrier.
Harris. Mayor de Blasio, let's bring you in here. What's your response?
Thank
Who
you.
cares
I
about
don't know what
Blasio?
the Vice President and Senator are talking about. The folks I talk to about health insurance
He polls
say
at
that their
zero.
health insurance isn't working.
Sub-zero. He's like, the third world populations I'm bringing want free crap. They love it.
Tens of millions
I'm a
more
7-foot
have
tall
health insurance
commie.
They can barely make work because of the copays, the deductibles, the premiums, the out-of-pocket expenses. There's this mythology that somehow all these folks are in love with their insurance in America. What I hear from union members and from hardworking middle-class people is they wish they had better insurance. And they're angry at private insurance companies that skim all the profits off the top and make it impossible for everyday people.
Who wrote Obamacare, you dirty commie that lives in a $10 million penthouse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Vice President Biden, you just heard Mayor de Blasio. He said in the past that Democrats who want to keep the private insurance industry are defending a healthcare system that is not working. What's your response?
My response is Obamacare is working. The way to build this and get to it immediately is to build on Obamacare. Go back and take back all the things that
Here
some
come the
took away.
troubles.
Provide
he can
a
still
public
barely
option,
think.
Yep. You
meaning
can see it
every
when he-
single person in America would be able to buy into the option if they didn't like their employer plan, or if they're on Medicaid, they'd automatically be in the plan.
There you go.
Automatically. He'll be a gibbering idiot within an hour.
Quickly, and it would ensure
Mouse 3 screw-ups in 2 paragraphs.
Vast majority of Americans. In the meantime, what happens? Did anybody tell you how much their plans cost? My plan cost $750 billion. That's what it costs, not $30 trillion.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senator Gillibrand, you support Medicare for All. How do you feel about Senator Harris continuing to call her health proposal Medicare for All when it includes a far more significant role for private insurance than the bill you co-sponsored?
I think for the viewers in the audience right now, they're at risk of losing the forest through the trees. Because the truth is, healthcare in America should be a right. When I was a young mother and had Theo as an infant, he had an allergic reaction to eggs and his whole body turned
It's
red
like
and
saying
puffy.
you
I
have
had
a
to
right
rush
to
into the
oxygen. What if the
emergency
Earth didn't have it?
room.
You
My
have
heart is
a right to having being a champion football player. It doesn't work like that. We have a right to this free stuff. Yeah, well, Venezuela says they have that right.
Whether it's an EpiPen or an inhaler, I can afford it. The truth about healthcare in America today is people can't afford it.
Because Big Pharma runs the government.
Insurance companies, for these plans that rely on insurance companies, I'm sorry. They're for-profit companies.
And notice these women offer all this free stuff, but they never change the companies. It's all just, they know it's a scam. They know they've got desperate people. They sit there and lie to you. Oh, we're going to give you all this free stuff. Meanwhile, Trump is trying to cut the price of drugs. He's trying to create all the drugs that have been suppressed and released them. They don't give a damn about that. It's all about feeling good against Trump.
Yes, exactly. Emotional virtue signaling.
Your health care to make it harder for you to afford it,
Thank
even
you,
if you have
Senator
pre-existing
Gillibrand.
conditions.
Senator Harris, your response.
Oh, Camilla, tell us. Oh, Camilla, tell us how you locked all the black folks up.
In response to Senator Biden about the Affordable Care Act,
they really want to fight
it's important
tonight.
that you understand that our Medicare for All plan has actually, by the architect of the Obama Affordable Care Act, been described as one of the most effective ways to bring health care to all. Kathleen Sebelius has endorsed our plan.
Described by who? The Easter Bunny?
Get us to where we need to go. In terms of the point that Senator Gillibrand is raising, I couldn't agree more. Senator Biden, your plan will keep and allow insurance companies to remain with status quo, doing business as usual. And that's going to be about jacking up copays, jacking up deductibles. It will still be the situation that people going to an emergency room have to come out $5,000.
My plan makes the limit of copay to be $1,000 because we further support
Here he comes again. Where is this?
He literally can't talk.
Except for the ones that he memorized early. That's what it was. He memorized those ones early so he could.
Somehow,
but he.
A bad idea.
Man,
no one has to keep their private insurance. But let's
talk about it. Did they put him in to lose to Camilla?
No.
They've got to know he's had strokes.
I think they convinced themselves that, look, with Hillary, they were able to get her up on stage and she was able to perform, and they could do the same thing with him.
Let's go back to him. This is really sad.
If they don't, they can buy into the Biden plan, which is Obamacare.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you. Senator Booker, let me bring you in here.
Oh, God.
You say you support Medicare for all. You also say you are not going to pull private health insurance from more than 150 million Americans in exchange
He is trying
for
the
a
Trump
government
outfit
plan.
tonight. The red tie,
But that's what
white
Medicare
shirt.
for all would do. So how do you square that?
Well, first of all, let me just say that the person who's enjoying this debate most right now is Donald Trump, as we pit Democrats against each other, while he is working right now to take away Americans' health care. There is a court case working through the system that's going to gut the Affordable Care Act and actually gut protections on pre-existing conditions. And so I was raised by two civil rights parents who told me to always keep your eyes on the prize. And that is that in the United States of America, every Democrat should stand with the belief that everyone should have access to health care, that it's a human right. And how we get there, it has to be to end this broken system, because we are on our way in just a handful of years of literally spending 20% of our economy, one out of every $5 spent on health care. And we spend more.
You know what's huge about that?
Other nation.
Maybe we fade him down halfway for a minute. They admitted, Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ezekiel Emanuel, admitted like 5 years ago, oh, Obamacare is meant to bankrupt healthcare, and they go to single payer. Well, he's saying it. Oh, we're almost bankrupt. That's the Cloward pivot, bankrupt the economy to bring in communism. He just admitted it.
Right. The thing that's weak with him tonight is he really needed to go after Biden or make a splash.
Fighting for that.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Congressman Gabbard.
The real enemy is America.
The reality is right now we don't have a health care system. We have a sick care system.
Her acne's
there
better
are far
tonight.
too many people in this country who are sick and unable to get the care that they
She
need
chose the best
because
outfit.
they cannot afford it.
Most distinctive.
So the core of this problem is the fact
You like
that big
her?
insurance companies and big pharmaceutical companies who've been
She's the
profiting
most
off
interesting
backs
of the
sick
group.
people have had a seat at the table writing this legislation.
Yes.
Kamala Harris just talked about
Anti-war,
Kathleen Sebelius, who helped
pro-surfing.
write her bill.
That's not
This
bad.
just pointed to the
Real
fatal
veteran.
flaw in her proposal. Sebelius works for Medicare Advantage, private insurance company
Ooh, that's
who will stand
nice.
to profit.
She's exposing who was
under her
backing
plan.
Kamala's plan.
If we're
That's why I said
seeking
that
to
she'd
really
pack.
reform our healthcare
See that Kamala
system,
look?
we've got to shut out big
Those
insurance and
those
big
hands on
pharma.
She
the
could have
wrist.
totally ignored it. She's supposed to be like, oh, God, you just hit me. Huh?
Exactly. And like, oh my, that's so
Sick people in
intolerable.
this country
That's racist.
who are searching
Exactly.
and in desperate need of care.
Senator Harris, your response?
I like attacks.
Unfortunately,
Attack everybody.
Representative Gabbard got it wrong. Kathleen Sebelius did not write my plan. She endorsed it as being one of
He
the
just said-
plans
she
that is
just
the
said she
best to
wrote it a
get us
second
to
ago.
a place where everyone is going to have access to health care in America.
And she
when we
endorsed
talk
it as the
about this
insurance
again,
company
I
lobby.
Black folks, we got a prison cell for you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm brown, so I'm going to lock your ass up.
America by your staff's
Look at, she's
and
attacking
your
Biden
own
again.
Definition. 10 million people.
When she realized he
as many
couldn't
as 10
talk, it was
million
going to be keep
people will
attacking.
He'd be
not
like,
have access to healthcare. And in 2019 in America, for a
He's got to start
Democrat
playing the
to be running
Obama
for
card if he wants to
president with
survive.
a plan that does not cover everyone. I
Oh,
think
and
is
Barack
without
and I.
excuse. Our plan covers
Thank you,
everyone
Senator.
and gives people.
Let's be
choice.
clear. He's 76. I think he's not going to be president.
No.
So why is everybody sitting it out? Oh, here we
The
go.
fact is that my plan also calls for controlling drug prices. The biopharma is now where things are going to go. It's no longer chemicals. It's about all these breakthroughs we have with the dealing with the whole, immune system.
Oh, God. He is literally.
We have to have a form that
Oh, my
sits in
God.
the-
They banned me off Facebook 2 months ago saying that I made it up. He was stuttering.
Exactly.
He is literally.
That's
Like
why they
Trump
went
said
so
yesterday, he
nuts.
said, I think he's a front runner if he can stay in. I don't think so.
Those perfect Trump phraseology. Because he's saying at two levels what's going on
I
there.
want to bring in Senator Bennett. Last night on
Did
this
you see
stage,
that?
one of your
Yes.
Democratic rivals suggested.
The fuck they,
Even apologized for it.
reelected.
Ah,
Do you
they
agree
couldn't
with that,
keep
sir?
him past.
I agree that it makes it much more likely.
This guy literally ate a half
Unlike
bottle of
others on
Valium.
this stage, I've
Yeah.
been crystal clear.
Would you let
where
this guy babysit
I've
your
been
kids?
For a
No.
decade through two tough
Eddie,
races
he is a
in
grown-up Eddie
Colorado. I
Munster.
believe
That's my
him.
purse.
job. We started with the Affordable Care Act with a public option that gives everybody in this
Public
country a
option.
chance to pick
Public
for their
option.
family whether
What's
they
up with
want
that, sing
private
song thing?
insurance or public insurance.
He's gonna start
It
yodeling
requires
like Marianne Williamson.
Drug companies to be negotiated with by Medicare, and it provides competition. That is totally different from the
The
plan
cure for
that
insomnia.
Senator Warren and Senator Sanders and Senator Harris have proposed, which would make illegal employer-based health insurance in this country and massively.
Illegal aliens aren't illegal.
Yeah.
And giving them free stuff is illegal. But employers that don't lick our booties.
Private insurance, illegal. Guns, illegal. Illegal immigration,
And look,
illegal.
CNN, reportedly Kamala Harris dated the head of CNN or something. They're in love, like they keep cutting to her. It's like she is God, she is the Messiah.
They want her to be the winner tonight. The media establishment, the donor establishment wants her to be a winner tonight.
In 2 years, not 10 years.
Secretary Castro, I want to bring you in.
Will he tell us that men have babies?
I'll come to you right after Secretary Castro.
Secretary Castro.
I know that this is something very personal for all
Turn up,
Americans.
guys.
You know, I grew up with a grandmother that had diabetes,
there you go.
and
Family
I
check.
watched as her condition got worse and worse. That whole time, she had Medicare. I want to strengthen Medicare for the people who are on it and then expand
Reportedly
it
is the
to
son of
anybody
Mao
who wants
Zedong.
it. I also believe, though, that if somebody has a private health insurance plan that is strong, that they want to hold on to, that they should be able to do that. What I don't believe is
we should have men having abortions.
Or big insurance companies should ever determine in our great nation whether somebody gets health care or not.
Mao Zedong.
Secretary Castro, Senator Harris.
Thank you, Mao
Senator Bennett
Zedong.
suggested that you support banning employer-based health insurance. Is that true?
Well, first of all, with all due respect to my friend Michael Bennett, my plan does not offer anything that is illegal. What it does is it separates the employer from health care, meaning that where you work will not be the kind of health care you get will not be a function of where you work. I have met so many Americans who stick to a job that they do not like, where they are not prospering, simply because they need the health care that that employer provides. It's time that we separate employers from the kind of health care people get, and under my plan, we do that. As it relates to the insurance and the pharmaceutical companies, who will not be
Those individuals act like
not be
psychotics.
taken to task by Senator
Like I would
Biden or
not
Senator
eat dinner
Bennett's plan.
with either one of these
We will
people
do
or
that.
let them
Senator
keep my
Bennett, I'll
children.
bring you back.
Senator Harris is my friend as well, but I have to
That's
say,
my
if we
friend
can't
as well.
admit, if we can't admit tonight what's in the plan,
This is the way you talk
which
when
is
you're, like,
banning
too drunk and you're trying to speak.
employer-based insurance, we're not going to be able to admit that when Donald Trump is accusing Democrats of doing that as well. We need to be honest about what's in this plan. It bans employer-based insurance and taxes the middle class
Yeah, they've said
to
that.
the tune of $30 trillion. Do you know how much that is? That is 70% of what the government will collect in taxes over the next 10 years.
Thank
We
you,
don't
Senator.
need to do that.
I see why they tell him to talk low. He doesn't. He doesn't look good when he tries to be
You
dramatic.
just suggested you were not being honest.
We cannot keep with the Republican talking points on this. You got to stop.
Yeah, forget mathematics.
The reality is
Look
that
what AOC said.
under my
It doesn't matter. We don't have the
Medicare
money.
for
Just
All
do
plan,
it.
Exactly.
Yes, employers are not going to be able to dictate the kind of health care that their employees get. They will be able to make that decision. Private insurance companies and private carriers, if they comply by our rules and play by our rules, will be able to
Our
offer
rules.
those employees
Yeah,
health
it means
coverage
payoffs to her.
under a private
Man, this is hard to
Medicare
watch. I'll
plan,
be
or they
honest.
can
We
have
got
the
Owen
option of a
Schroyer in the other
public
office,
Medicare plan.
other
But it is
studio. I'm
misleading
having
to
trouble watching
suggest
this.
that
It's just because it's such fantasy land. This is from Fantasy Island. Can we pull up Rodney Dangerfield in what's that movie he did before he died back in the 80s? It was like Back to School or
Back
something.
to School. That was a great film.
You guys pull up Rodney Dangerfield on economics. And it's him with
The economics
Sam
professor.
Kinison.
Oh, that's the history one. The other one is the economics professor where he tells
No,
you
you're
about
right. You're right. You're right. With the history he likes, he was like, we're going to kill those commies.
Yeah.
But then when he gets to the economics, the guy's like, oh, we have this building and we build it and it's
Widgets.
all done this way. And he's like, yeah, you know where we ought to build this building? Fantasyland.
Exactly.
Because it's Fantasyland, man. I mean, let's go back. He did, like you said, he didn't have glasses last night.
And they should have said no to this.
His IQ went up 100 points right now. Let's hear from what's that guy's name?
It's not a good look. Inslee, the governor of Washington.
Let's hear from him.
Climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change.
He said the guy that attacked the ICE facility was a Nazi. I think I was an avowed Antifa.
Exactly.
Here he goes.
Time to give people adequate mental health care in this country. And
Democrats do need adequate mental health care. That's true.
we've had some success in integrating mental health with physical health. There's no reason we should distinguish between your physiological and your mental health. And the last thing we're doing, I think it's very instructive for the nation. We know we're being eaten alive by pharmaceutical costs. We have had one of, if not the most innovative way to drive
We're being
down
eaten alive by the
for
pharmaceuticals.
life-saving medications in the United States. That's a record of Washington State. I'd like to take to Washington, D.C.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Inslee. Mr. Yang, I want to bring you in. You support a Medicare for all system. How do you respond to Governor Inslee?
This is just...
I just want to share a story. When I told my wife I was running for president, you know the first question she asked me? What are we going to do about our health care? That's a true story, and it's not just us. Democrats are talking about health care in the wrong way. As someone who's run a business, I can tell you flat out our current health care system makes it harder to hire. It makes it harder to treat people well and give them benefits and treat them as full-time employees. It makes it harder to switch jobs, as Senator Harris just said.
Well, that's the truth.
And it's
No one
certainly
gets a
lot
full-time
harder to
job
start
now
a
because they have
business.
to do it.
If
Right.
we say, look, we're going to get health care off the backs of businesses and families, then watch American entrepreneurship recover and bloom. That's the argument we should be making to the American people.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
Then he offers this universal wage thing.
I don't understand why Democrats on this stage are fear-mongering about universal health care.
Well, they are sitting in 10 years.
Ask the American people. They are sick of what the pharmaceutical companies are doing to them. Ask them what they feel about the health insurance companies.
By the way, you know, like 90% of pharmaceutical companies is the Democrats.
Oh, yes, heavily.
They get a lot of no's. They don't get a lot of
Look
help
what a
from
con
health
man
insurance
de
companies.
Blasio is.
Why
I mean,
are we not
man,
going to be the
what
party
a
that does
creep.
something bold?
Oh,
that
let me
says
babysit
we
your
don't
daughter.
need to be
Oh,
dependent
yeah.
on private insurance. We can have a system that actually covers everyone.
Look
You
at
know
that
what?
creepazoid.
Donald Trump won this state of Michigan by saying he was going to disrupt the status quo. How about we be the party that's going to disrupt the status quo
Thank you.
for working people?
Mr.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just a 15-second point of clarification. Who
This is
are
the
you
8-foot
talking
tall
about? Who's fear-mongering?
pervert.
Certainly, with all due respect to Senator Bennett, what he's saying is absolutely inaccurate about taxes. Americans right now are paying so much money for their health care. Ask people about the reality of premiums, deductibles, co-pays, out-of-pocket expenses.
Yeah, because government got
That's
involved and
worse
jacked up
than
prices,
any
dum-dum.
tax.
Thank you.
And people are paying that right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Senator Bennett.
This
Eddie
has
Munster.
nothing to do with Republican talking points or the pharmaceutical industry. This has to do with having faith in the American people that they can make the right decisions for their families and they can choose a public option. Bernie Sanders, who said last night he wrote the damn bill, and he did, just like I wrote the damn public option bill, is the guy who says it'll cost $32 trillion and that we're going to have to raise those taxes to pay for it. He says that. Republicans don't say it. Don't try to distract
vampire de
from the
Blasio
truth.
is.
Thank you, Senator
You
Bennett.
can't hide from the truth.
I want to let
We
Mayor
need
de
to be
Blasio, and then I'm going to come to you,
Healthcare.
Vice President Biden.
Senator, if we as Democrats say we're done with private insurance that has only hurt the American people in so many ways, we're going to give them something that works for their families, full coverage that they can depend on. If we say that, then there's an election. The American people get to decide. The ultimate choice,
The vote-free
Senator,
stuff
is
that
an
doesn't
election.
exist.
And this should be the party that
So we're
says
going to have an election that your kid
healthcare
doesn't have
says,
muscle
we're
dystrophy.
not
We're
gonna
going
accept
to have an
the
election, you have a
US.
high
Right now in
IQ.
America,
We're
so
going to have an
many
election,
people
you don't have a period,
don't
everybody.
have the health care they
It's
need.
magic.
That is a fact. Tens of millions of people, including
Thank you,
middle-class
Mr.
people.
Mayor.
Give them a chance
Thank you,
to make
Mr.
that
Mayor.
decision through an election.
Vice President Biden, your response, sir.
This is not a Republican talking point. The Republicans are trying to kill Obamacare.
You couldn't even say Republican.
This is not a Republican talking point. Alex Jones just put out fake news. I can't talk. We got him banned on Facebook, and now I can talk. See?
No one has to keep the
Instagram.
private insurance. They can buy into this plan, and they can buy into it with a $1,000 deductible and never have to pay more than 8.5% of their income when they do it. And if
Let
they
me
don't
say
have
this.
any money, they get in
Listen,
free.
fade it down for a minute,
So this
please.
idea is a
We
bunch of
had,
malarkey, what we're talking about here. The fact
Fade
of
it down
the
for a second,
matter
please.
is,
We had Robert Mueller, was a little bit old.
Senile moment.
Having problems. But like Biden's 5 times worse.
Oh, by far. And especially
Can you imagine
knowing-
if he was in a long 8-hour hearing? I mean,
Imagine
this
if
is
the guy-
a disaster.
Imagine-
Let's go back to him and get your take on it. Here it is.
do in New York. I don't know what math you do in California, but I tell you, that's a lot of money. And there will be a deductible. The deductible will be out of your paycheck because that's what
And
we
again,
require.
if you know his regular voice, it's the whole thing. Like, yeah, big deductible.
Exactly. This is all he's having serious.
I'm Petrol Olympic. Hello, I work McDonald's. I do now. This is their leader. What's behind this?
He can't go through another 8 debates like this. No way.
Families. And under your plan,
Camilla smells blood.
status quo,
Yes.
You do nothing to hold the insurance companies to task for what
almost gotta
they
feel
have
sorry
been
for Biden.
doing
This
to
is like-
American
it
families.
really
In
is. It's
America
sad. It's just
today,
like-
a diabetes patient's 1 in 4 cannot afford their insulin. In America today,
That didn't work calling him racist
for those
last time,
people
though.
who are
But their fake polls
overdosed
said
from an
did it.
opioid, there is a
It took a
syringe that
hit,
costs
but it wasn't enough deep
that
enough.
will save their life. It is immoral, it is
Thank you, Senator.
untenable, and it must
Your time is
change
up,
with
Senator.
Medicare for all.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Real quick.
Real quick.
I
provide the only plan that limits
I
the ability of
plan.
insurance companies to charge unreasonable
Listen to
prices.
it.
Flat out, number one. Number two, we should put some of these insurance executives who totally oppose my plan
We
in
have-
jail.
he does it.
for
He'll
the
do a few
9
sentences
billion
worth? Yes.
Opioids
Listen to this,
they
listen to
sell out there. They are misrepresenting to the American people what need to be done. And lastly, here's the deal.
Keep skipping
The deal
phrases
is, let's
and
figure
key-
out how
key
this
words.
works. We immediately are able to cover everybody who wants to get off of their insurance plan they
working
don't
hard
like,
at the
no matter
locution
what
right
one
now.
it is, and buy into a Medicare option. And they can buy the gold plan, and they're not going to have to pay. Anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you. Let's move now.
He got the last two sentences in.
Yeah, he did.
Secretary
He started
Castro,
focusing
you think
heavy
it
on the
should
locution.
no longer be a crime
But he can
to
only
cross
do
the
it for
US
short.
border?
Hold on, men need abortions.
President Obama's Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, whom you served with, says that is a public declaration that the border is, quote, effectively open to all. How is he wrong?
Thank you for that question. You know,
I'm now not going
if
to
you
answer
elect me president, you're not electing me to follow. You're electing me to lead. And open borders is a right-wing talking point.
Oh,
And
yeah, 'cause they're not
frankly,
open.
I'm disappointed that some folks, including some folks on this stage, have taken the bait. The only way that we're going to guarantee that we don't have family separations in this country again is to repeal Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationality Act.
Just legalize everything.
That is the law that this president, this administration is using to incarcerate migrant parents and then physically separate
release
them
90%
from
of
their
them.
children. My immigration plan would also make sure that we put undocumented immigrants who haven't committed a serious crime on a pathway to citizenship, that we do a
pretty much
21st century
open
Marshall Plan with Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, so that we can get to the root of this challenge.
With
so people can
Guatemala.
have a
Oh,
safety and
you said
opportunity to
Guatemala. Everything's for
That's how
Guatemala.
we can be smarter, more effective, and more humane when it comes to immigration policy.
It's just the globalists break the border. That's all it is.
He wants to be El Presidente de los Estados Unidos.
I disagree that we should decriminalize our border. This is personal for me. My mom's an immigrant, and she was separated.
Even though I agree with this guy
her parents
more, he
during
sounds
the Holocaust
retarded too.
in Poland. And for
Well, they
those
have all their
reasons,
modern
I
candidates
was
either
part
been
of the
senile
Gang
or
of Eight that I wrote
no longer
the
there.
immigration bill in 2013
Why can't they
with John
pronunciate
McCain that passed the Senate with 68 votes. That gave a pathway to citizenship for the
politicians
11 million undocumented
And imagine
people
saying, you get
that are
here, you're legal.
That
I mean,
would pass the most
well, why do I even
progressive
pay?
Dream
Why do I
Act
even
that had
work
ever
to pay
been
taxes?
conceived.
I can't go
much
to
less passed on the floor
Guatemala
of the
and
Senate,
get free stuff.
and had
People that
$46
apply
billion
here legally and
border
have
security.
to wait 10 years to
Every
get in.
single Democrat
We got Owen Shore
voted
in the
for
other
that
studio, right? Anytime you want to
and
pop in,
a lot
you
of
punch them up.
Republicans. That should be our
Thank you.
position.
Thank you, Senator.
That is our position.
Thank you,
as
Senator.
Democrats.
Senator Harris, you have indicated that you don't think it should be a criminal offense punishable by jail to cross the U.S. border illegally. How do you respond to Senator Bennett?
Well, again,
It shouldn't be a crime to cross illegally. Just get here and everything's free.
for example, I went to a place.
Why am I even at a checkpoint at
And,
an airport or
there
anything?
is a
Why do I even have a
private
driver's
detention
license?
Facility being paid for by
Nobody
US
else needs one but a
taxpayer
citizen.
dollars. A private detention facility that currly houses 2,700 children.
Children. He's going to start
And
to cry.
by the way, there were
Yeah,
members
that's
of
what it
us. Julian was there, members of Congress. They would not let us enter the place, members of the United States Congress. So I walked down the road, I climbed a ladder, and I looked over the fence. And I'm going to tell you what I saw.
She's gonna
I
do her
saw
fake
children
AOC
lined
moment.
up single file based on gender, being walked into barracks.
Oh my
The
God.
policies of
Because
this
they illegally
administration
climbed
have
over to
been
the desert with their
facilitated
kids.
by laws
We
on
got to
the
find out
book
who
that
they
allow
are.
them to
And now she's bitching how bad we are when they're coming here to get free crap. But she has to turn it around that you better give us everything free.
Senator Bennett, what's your response?
Camilla Harris. Yeah, but it's like, yay, open borders. F yeah.
I think this is one.
Well,
in
she was
the end
crying
that
looking at all those potential
there's
votes.
not a single person on this stage who, if we were president, would ever separate a child from their parents at the border. And that is what this administration has done in the American people's name. They have turned our border into a symbol of nativist hostility. The symbol of this country before Donald Trump was president was the Statue of Liberty. That should be the symbol of the United States of America, not Donald Trump's terrible
Thank you, Senator
border.
Bennett. Senator Gillibrand, I'm going to bring you in. What's your response?
So I think when you talk about whether this should be a crime, you have to remember who we're talking about. When I was at the Texas border, I visited with women who had fled violence. A woman from El Salvador owned a small business. Gangs came to her and said, if you don't give us all your money, we're going to kill your family. That's why she fled. Another woman was raped. That's why she fled. So this is who we're talking about, and they're not criminals. So I believe that we should have a civil violation. No president before President Trump.
Okay, so this is the result of a third of the population has never had a job and lives on welfare. And this is a result of people in Cloud 10. And this is a result of the Democrats just up there offering more and more free stuff. This is the collapse of civilization. And we'll collapse just like Venezuela or Russia or anywhere else. And by the time the left even remembers it, it'll be 10 years from now. They won't even care. But I want to go to Owen Schroyer, who's in the other studio. You sit here and you watch this. Biden treading water, can't even talk. Democrats offering all this free stuff, saying open borders, everything's free, healthcare, education. You have the AOC plan that if you want to work or can't work or don't want to work, you get money. I mean, it's very depressing that we've got Castro up here saying that men should be able to have abortions. It's an assault on reality. I don't know where this goes, Owen.
Well, this is really just embarrassing for America. This is the best the Democrats have to offer. But it's clear that this is just a group of ideologues with no intellect. I think maybe Michael Bennett is the only one with intellect. The problem is he has no lips, so he looks weird. But last night you had somebody do the math for all the promises made with the free health care and the free this and the college and everything, relieving of student debt, slave reparations, and they tallied it $200 trillion. So last night's Democrat tab for all the free goodies is $200 trillion. That's like Dr. Evil going back in time and demanding $100 billion, and they're like laughing at him. That amount of money doesn't even exist yet. So Democrats are asking, they put a price tag on something they promised you, and that amount of money doesn't even exist yet. So that'll be interesting. And let's see what happens here with this Obamacare deal, because I don't think they want the name Obama coming up anymore in these debates. Because that's essentially.
I agree. Stay there. And by the way, stay live with us. I've been wanting you for an hour to jump in anytime you want. We're 57 minutes into this. Let's go back to Joe Biden, who I'm just shocked by. He can't talk.
If you cross the border illegally, you should be able to be sent back. It's a crime. It's a crime, and it's not.
Well, he's going like super right wing
Mr. Vice
compared to
President.
where he was.
Secretary Castro, please respond.
First of all, Mr. Vice
There's
President,
Castro.
it looks like one of us has learned the lessons of the past, and one of us hasn't. Let me begin by telling
That's right, you evil white man. Mexico has a border. They put you in jail for a year, but listen, white bitch. Wow, you can see where this is going.
And he practiced that line.
Legal immigration.
Oh, most Hispanics don't want to open the border. They had studies in
absolutely.
Mexico.
Of course not.
80% of Mexicans don't want to open
this
the border.
is it.
Exactly.
Here you
This
go.
is the open border versus not open border.
No, I agree. So let's go to Castro.
That we need to repeal this law. There's still going to be consequences if somebody crosses the border. It's
Really?
a civil action. Also, we have 654 miles of fencing. We have thousands of personnel at the border. We have planes, we have boats, we have helicopters, we have security cameras.
But if you get here, you're legal.
There are politicians
Your time
that
is
actually
up.
have some
God,
guts.
he thinks
on
that
this
all
issue.
be
Thank
for
you,
him.
Secretary.
Well, what's
Mr.
that
Vice
for?
President, please respond.
Why do you want a border?
I
An
have
open
guts
border.
enough to say
You
his
want to
plan doesn't
enrich
make
cartels.
sense. Here's the
Exactly.
deal.
They
The
want
fact of the matter is that, in fact,
the Democrats are
when
on board
people
with
cross the
MS-13.
border illegally,
Exactly.
it is illegal to do it unless they're seeking asylum. People should have to get in line. That's the problem.
Wow.
And the only
He is
reason
ticked
this
off that
particular
they've waged war
part
on
of the
him.
law is
So
he's
because
going
of
right wing. He could
Donald
actually get the nomination
Trump.
like this.
We should
Well, he could.
defeat
He grows
Donald
the
Trump
testicles.
and
Exactly.
So this is a real Biden right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, this
He's
is
not
him
playing the
without
games
note
like last
cards.
week.
Right.
A month ago. Wow.
Yeah.
When we see those children.
Notice he's not having the stuttering when he's not to remember lines.
Well, he's clearly agitated about how he's been treated. So he's like, I'll just call it like I see it instead of calling it like they want him to.
He's like, my plan's $700 billion. Yours is $23 trillion.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't working.
Exactly.
I'm the one that opened the borders up, bitch.
Yeah.
You're telling me everything's free?
Exactly.
As well as humane immigration policies. We will have to
Oh,
stop separating
humane. Everyone
children
wants
from
saying
their
we're such
parents.
Nazis.
Make it so that it's
Let's go back to
easier
Owen
for people
Schroyer.
to
Owen, what do you make of this fiasco?
Well, that whole Biden exchange was pretty revealing right there, because you basically have the new left wing with Julian, as they say, basically saying, no, open borders, like let everybody come in. And now here's Biden, sick of being attacked, representing the real establishment prestige of the Democrat Party under Barack Obama, seeing it all being torn to shreds, going off note cards and saying, you know what? No, fine. You guys are nuts, You're calling for open borders, yet you're up here saying you're not calling for open borders. I'm going to actually have guts right now and speak some common sense.
By the way, I'm not kissing Biden's ass, but I agree with you. They're all freaking out right now. Biden's off script.
Completely off script. This is him rejecting all of the messaging that they wanted to be relayed out there. And I think it's his payback for them trying to take him out after they begged him to get in the first place.
Let's hear what Cory Booker and Don Lemon have to
Currently
say.
in detention would be released into the United States.
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to say again tonight, we are playing into Republican hands who have a very different view, and they're trying to divide us against each other. I'm listening to the language of my colleagues. No, Mr. Vice President, we are not going to just let people cross the border. An unlawful crossing is an unlawful crossing if you do it in the civil courts or if you do it through the criminal courts. But the criminal courts is what is giving Donald Trump the ability to truly violate the human rights of
We got
people coming to our
600%
country.
increase.
No one surrenders
Trump ain't stopping
their human
nothing.
rights.
Right.
And so doing it through the civil courts means that you won't need these awful detention facilities that I've been to, seeing children.
By the way, you know,
sleeping
9% don't show up ever to the courts.
being put in cages, nursing mothers, small children. This is not necessary.
They have these mothers
We
that bring their
have
kids across the desert.
Why would
If
you?
I did that with my kids, I'd lose my kids.
If you had no credible evidence.
If
for
I was
it,
drink driving with my kids, just like they have the head of ICE, he's like, I used to be a New York City cop. Person is drunk, we take their kids. So the grandparents come, or you get arrested in the SWAT team raid for drugs, your kids get taken. This whole thing like, they bring kids across the desert, and then we take them for a couple hours. That's abusive.
Not only that, one.
Those parents ought to go to frickin' prison, man.
At least third of them, it's not their parents. They're using
A
kids
third of
as
them
a
is
smuggling
DNA tested,
technique.
even their parents.
Exactly.
Not even family.
Correct. Not even family. No relationship.
Let's hear what Biden says.
Nothing to do with that section of the law. That's what he's doing, number one. Number two, we should, in fact, and we have proposed and we tried to get past in our administration, and I proposed, significantly increasing the number of legal immigrants that are able to come. This country can tolerate a heck of a lot more people. And the reason we're the country
Yeah, as long as not a criminal.
we've been able to cherry pick from the best of every culture. Immigrants built
He
this
sounds
country.
like Trump now.
That's why we're so special.
We should have
It
the
took
best, not
courage.
just random people across the border.
Resilience. It took absolute confidence for them to come. And we should be encouraging
What's the term?
people.
It's
And by the way,
merit-based.
Anybody
Yeah,
who crosses
exactly.
a stage with a
That's exactly what he just
PhD,
Notice he's
get a
not
green card
he's
for
not
7
mumbling now that he's being himself.
I know, isn't that interesting?
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice
Well, it shows
President.
he doesn't have a
Governor Inslee,
memory
what's
to
your
read
response?
lines.
Correct.
But then if he just himself.
Right,
I
that's
think we're
exactly right.
missing
When he was
two
trying to
central
operate off of
statements
script,
we
his
need to make.
cognitive
Number
problems were
one,
coming up.
we
When he's
can no
not, he's
longer
Well, he
allow
can't help it right now. He has to.
nationalists to be
That's
in
right.
the White House. Number one.
This idiot
Washington, state of Washington. Jay Inslee. He doesn't look good with the glasses. It looks like the Perry look.
And he's the
Number
guy that
two,
said
we have
that
to
it was a
make
right-winger
America
attacked the
what
ICE
it's
facility.
always been, a place of refuge. We got to boost the number of people we accept. I'm proud of being the first governor saying, send us your Syrian refugees. I'm proud to have been the first
Which weren't
governor to
Christians,
stand
it was all
up
the
against Donald
Islamics.
Trump's
Yes.
Muslim ban. I'm proud to have sued him 21 times and beat him.
Damn right. Let's get more of those radical Muslims in here right now. They're wonderful. Let's get lots of those in here.
Go ahead, Mayor de Blasio, please, your response.
He's so proud of himself.
One, it's all kind of a charade because there's 11 million people here.
There's a commie.
And everyone in theory
Well, like 40
is
million.
breaking the law, but
God, I can't believe how weak they all are. I mean, I'm serious. I'm around like a gas station attendant. He looks manly. There's something like soul suck. We're going to Millie Weaver and Caitlin Bennett here in a moment. They're there at Fox Theater while this damn thing's going on. But this is getting insane.
all to fix it. Second, Vice President Biden.
Okay, let's go to them right now. While all this horrible event is taking place, we have Owen Schroyer here with us as well. We're here in Austin, Texas. Millie Weaver, Caitlin Bennett are there at Fox Theater in Detroit. What have you ladies witnessed today? I know you've seen quite a bit of insanity.
Well, we know that CNN hates free speech, apparently. We are in an area right now that we're technically not supposed to be, but we figured out a way to get through here. But CNN has basically permitted and paid to block off the entire area where only they are allowing people with CNN credentialed media passes to come into this area. So
To shoot
we kinda
video of
snuck
the
in here.
royalty of the front of the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And so they're not even letting protesters, they're not letting anyone come and just, express their First Amendment rights. Only CNN is
Wait a
allowed
minute.
to
You
have
mean
First Amendment
CNN's anti-free speech? Oh, come on.
Who would have thought, right? No, there are probably about, I would say, at least 10 streets shut down right now, which means the businesses that these streets are on can have nobody coming to their business today or yesterday. And
Well, it
it's crazy
shows
how
there's
much-
no excitement, just like when you guys were in Miami. There's nobody there.
And what I
Well,
heard
they actually have an area behind CNN's media tent, which is just right there. On the other side of it, we showed it to you yesterday, Alex, where they had like a dozen people in that. I think what happened was they saw that so few people were actually coming into their media area. They were worried that it would look bad if they had it open to the public and no one was there, or that the Trump people would come there and put CNN is fake news signs and just troll them. So they ended up just closing off the entire street around here, not letting anyone in. So it's a ghost
Okay,
town
separate
right
from
now.
that news, they've done that. What's your overall view on what's unfolding right now?
So I think my overall thing is that there's not really any group supporting a candidate. There's no support for any of the people inside. It's just supporting a cause. So there's climate change people, there's the abolish ICE people, there's the fight for 15 people. They're not even talking about the candidates. They're just protesting these things. There is not any support. We just came from outside the event, outside the permitted area. There's only Trump supporters out there. There's no one out there supporting any candidate. So I don't know why the people are so excited.
Well, sure. That's why they want to control and shut it all down, because they know there's nobody there. The Democrats have no support. They've just got fake polls, and they've got election fraud. Let's get Owen Schroyer's take on that. And ladies, great job. Keep your reporting going. We appreciate watching the work you're doing. And pop anytime, and you've got some new news. I know after the debate, you're going to be doing Person on the Street out there. Anything else you want to add?
Well, what I'll say is that it definitely looks like the Democrats are getting behind policies. So if we're trying to hedge our bets that they're going to like latch on to a politician and we can try to just, expose all the bad things about that politician, I feel like that's not necessarily going to work, because they are just literally getting behind policies, and they all are waiting for whoever CNN or the authoritative figure is that says, this is who you support. And they're all going to
Sure, you mean they're a bunch of followers, they're a bunch of puppets.
Yes. So we could still have a big fight in 2020, because we'll just get a bunch of crazy liberals that are just voting against Trump, against the Republicans, for causes, not necessarily for a particular candidate.
All right, thanks. Let me ask everybody else here if they want to comment, or the ladies as well, or Owen, or you, Bob. Is Hillary or is Michelle waiting in the wings? Is there? Well, let's go back to Biden for a minute. We'll answer that question. Here it is.
System, and he got pushed back significantly.
Senator Gillibrand, what's your response?
Again, President Trump, under his administration, 7 children died in his custody. Under his administration, families have been torn apart. This party is talking about real ideas for the future. We're talking about what we will do to change America. But we must not forget about our values. We used to believe in this country you should treat others the way you want to be treated.
Oh, but now we don't. We're just the most open, the most welfare. I can't listen to this anymore. I'm going to continue watching, but Bob, I'm going to go in the control room. I'm going to get some clips together. I'm going to let you take over, and with Owen and the rest of the crew and some guests that are coming up tonight. We've already done like an hour plus of the live broadcast, and I'm not even plugging listeners to spread the word or financially support us. We've got store-wide free shipping and double Patriot points and a lot of other things going on. But hey, maybe InfoWars doesn't need anymore. You know what I mean? Seriously. I mean, at a certain point, it's like if people want what they're watching and they want de Blasio and they want all this, and there's no fighting instinct, why the hell be here? Slit our wrists, just end the country. Because, that's what it's come down to here, I really think is people are like, oh, well, we're defeating these people. Barely defeating them. Barely defeating a bunch of criminals on the Chi-Com payroll, pushing all this. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it's interesting tonight so far. You're seeing more contest and more conflict than we saw last night. And I think that's clearly intentional and purposeful and necessary in order for any of them to get ahead. And so we'll see how all that transitions and translates out as we get the rest of the debate. What do you think, Owen?
Well, Alex, don't get so upset because you're the most censored man in the world and you can't fundraise like, fake news CNN off a total fiat marketing system and fiat currency. So know this. I believe the entire reason why CNN has 10 blocks shut down in the city of Detroit is because you're in their head. They don't even want to take a chance that an InfoWars supporter comes up with a CNN is fake news sign or a CNN is this or starts a chant. So I think 100%, Robert, that the only reason why CNN has shut down half that city to keep away, it's all about controlling the optics, controlling the environment so that they can still have this narrative that they're in control. They're the establishment news. They're the news source. They are in control of the scene. There will be no interruptions. There will be no dissident views. We are CNN. And of course, it's all just total control. It's all fabricated. And I think that's why they're sitting here, because this is really unheard of, honestly. Why would CNN be shutting down? I just think they're so scared that anybody's going to show up and disrupt whatever they're doing with their broadcast. But, you know, so far, I mean, this is just pathetic. Anybody with any IQ realizes that this is really just sad, this Democrat debate. 10 of these people on the stage, you have 20 overall, and this is what you get. This is the cream of the crop from the Democrat Party. And they're not even in unison. They're not even on message. They're starting to take bites out of each other. And now Biden is going against them. And so I'm just watching the Hindenburg. I'm watching a dumpster fire. But the sad thing is the media has such power, not even as an individual outlet. Like CNN is very weak. MSNBC is very weak as far as their influence. Washington Post, very weak. In individual measurements, these are very, very weak outlets, weak voices. The problem is that they all are in total unison on message. Trump is a racist. Trump is putting kids in cages. So even though as individual outlets, they're very pathetic and weak, in unison, their propaganda being amplified by the media establishment, by the social media establishment, by the big tech establishment, it's the mouse that roared. So even though their tiny little mouse squeaks is their level of influence, their sphere of influence becomes much greater as it's amplified by the propaganda machines, as it's amplified by the establishment media, big tech, and social media. And so that's what we're fighting against right now. And that's why Alex did a message to the president saying, why are you committing suicide? You're letting the mouse defeat the lion. You're letting the mouse squash the elephant right now by letting big tech engage in this censorship, by letting big tech engage in censoring your supporters, by letting Google censor their search algorithms. So now the average consumer that doesn't follow politics, they're not watching a Democrat debate, they're not tuning into InfoWars, they're not tuning into anything. They're just tuning into their lives, and they have their cell phone, and whatever pops up on their cell phone, that's what they see. And so they get the fake world. They get the fake reality. They get the fake news. Oh, yeah, Trump is a racist. Okay. So if the president doesn't address this, he is committing political suicide. If the president doesn't realize he's the lion going to be defeated by the mouse because of big tech, he is committing political suicide. If the president doesn't realize he's the elephant that's about to get squashed by the mouse, then he is committing political suicide. That's what has to be stopped. If you cut out the CIA propaganda wing working, look at Jeffrey Epstein. This guy's an FBI informant, folks. They're all against President Trump, okay? They work with the Clintons, Obama, Branson. They're all connected. They're all friends. And then Obama's guilty of all the treason with the spying. By the way, James Comey is about to get prosecuted, okay, for all the perjury and the lies he committed. So that whole house of cards is coming down. But guess what? Unless it goes to their smartphone, they're never going to hear about it. And it's never going to go to their smartphone. What's going to go to their smartphone is Kamala Harris promises free health care. Elizabeth Warren says, release the kids from cages. And so that's all people are going to see. And that's the control that big media and big tech have. And if the president doesn't do something to nip that in the butt or change that momentum, he's going to be in big trouble. All right, CNN was in a break. Are they back, guys?
Yeah, they're back. Bold action on criminal justice reform, like having true marijuana justice, which means that we legalize.
I need like the smelling salts just to endure this, Robert.
In communities that have been disproportionately targeted by
Vice President
marijuana
Biden,
enforcement.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond.
The fact is that the bills that the future president here, that the senator is talking about.
Oh boy.
Are bills that were passed years ago, and they were passed overwhelmingly. Since 2007, I, for example, tried to get the crack powder cocaine disparity totally eliminated. In 2007, you became mayor. And you had a police department you went out and you hired Rudy Giuliani's guy. You engaged in stop
Biden's really
and
willing to
frisk.
take some shots
You
tonight.
had 75% of those stops reviewed as illegal. You found yourself in the situation where 3 times as many African-American kids were caught in that chain and caught up. The Justice Department came after you for saying you were engaging in behavior that was inappropriate. And then, in fact, nothing happened the entire time you were mayor.
Thank you, Senator Booker. You want to respond?
Well, first of all, I'm grateful that he endorsed my presidency already, but I'll tell you this, it's no secret.
Neither of these men will be anywhere near the White House.
Massive problems and decades-long challenges. But the head of the ACLU has already said, the head of the New Jersey ACLU, that I put forth national standard setting accountability. Mr. Vice President, I didn't interrupt you. Please show me that respect, sir.
Oh my
we
gosh.
have a system right now that's broken. And if you want to compare records, I am happy to do that. Because all of the problems that
they gave me a laugh track.
Created,
there you go.
I actually led the bill that got passed into law that reverses the damage that your bills that you were, frankly, to correct you, Mr. Vice President, you were bragging, calling it the Biden crime bill up till 2015.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Biden.
Number one, the bill he talks about is a bill that in our administration we passed. We passed that bill that you added onto. That's the bill, in fact, you passed. And the fact of the matter is, secondly, there was nothing done for the entire 8 years he was mayor. There was nothing done to deal with the police department that was corrupt. Why did you announce in the first day a zero-tolerance policy of stop and frisk and hire Rudy Giuliani's guy in 2007 when I was trying to get rid of the crack cocaine?
Mr. Vice President, there's a saying in my community, you're dipping into the Kool-Aid and you don't even know the flavor. You need to come to the city of Newark and see the reforms that we put in place. The New Jersey head of the ACLU has said that I embraced reforms, not just in action, but in deed. Sir, you are trying to shift the view from what you created. There are people right now in prison for life for drug offenses because you stood up and used that tough on crime, phony rhetoric that got a lot of people elected, but destroyed communities like mine. This isn't about the past, sir. This is about the present right now. I believe in redemption.
Thank you, Senator.
I'm happy you evolved.
I want to bring in
but
Secretary.
You've offered no redemption to the people in prison right now.
I want to bring in Secretary Castro. Your response, sir?
I agree with Senator Booker that a lot of what Vice President helped author in '94
I am
was a
Marianne
mistake.
Williamson's
And
left
he has
toe,
flip-flopped on these
and
things,
I have
that's
just
clear. But let me say,
teleported
when we talk
into
about
the
criminal
main
justice
studio
reform,
next
there are a lot
to
of things that
Robert
we can talk
Barnes.
about: sentencing reform, cash bail reform, investing in public defenders, diversion programs. I'm proud that I'm the only candidate that has put forward a police reform plan, because we have a police system that is broken and we need to fix it. And whether
You think anybody's
it's,
watching this, Bob Barnes,
the
like
case of
CNN,
someone like Tamir
or people
Rice
just
or
tuning
Michael
out?
Brown,
Because I feel the need to
or Eric
talk over
Garner,
these people because it's
where
just
the
so
Trump
boring.
Justice Department
I mean, I think it's probably going to get better ratings because there's a lot more conflict tonight, and drama is attention-inducing. So I think that part they're doing decently.
Hold them accountable for using excessive
Thank you,
force.
Secretary Castro. I want to bring in Governor Inslee.
Is that Hitler?
Let me suggest that
Hey, he did the Hitler salute. You saw it.
Yeah, he did.
criminal justice reform looks like.
It's a unique way to say
Efforts
hello.
Reduce racial disparity.
With those fake
I'm proud
glasses
that
to
I was
go with
the
it.
first governor to offer pardons to thousands of people with drug
I want to see the CNN headline, Governor Jay Inslee does Nazi salute.
Yeah. What's amazing is for all these Democrats to be bragging about how many people they can get out of prison.
They've done their responsibility.
I mean, it's not.
Well, they got to get a new crop of voters.
We want more illegals in, and everybody out of detention centers, everybody out of jails, everybody out of prisons. Let's get those votes out there.
We haven't just put
Bernie just wants them to vote while they're in prison. At least he doesn't want to have to release them to get the votes.
Accountability measures and train our police officers.
Come on, Orián, speak Espanol.
So we have less violence.
That's a bingo and bet winner tonight.
Well, that it's much more than that, because what we see, and this was a good example the other day of the Department of Justice not going after Officer Pantaleo, that Officer Pantaleo used a chokehold that was prohibited by NYPD. He did that for 7 seconds, 11 different times. Eric Garner said that he couldn't breathe. He knew what he was doing, that he was killing Eric Garner, and yet he has not been brought to justice. That police officer should be off the street.
Two different grand juries in New York cleared him and said those allegations were false.
Why is that police
And that I think is an interesting talking point, but it's a sad, tragic story. But
terrible tragedy.
This is a you know, this is a presidential debate. Are we really going to highlight one? Let's say that's a bad acting police officer. I mean,
well, not only that, they're disagreeing with a bunch of liberal New Yorkers who, in the state grand jury, said he committed no crime, and then the federal grand jury said he committed no crime.
Well, but they did the same thing with the Michael Brown case. It was a jury of all black peers in the Ferguson, Florissant area that said no, the officer was innocent.
That's because the witnesses at the scene, most of whom were African American, said he did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Again, sad. Like, nobody wants to see this happen.
Of course not.
Thank you,
We
man.
just don't. But they weren't examples of abusive police breaking the law. There are cases of that, but those were not those cases.
Vice President, tell us, what did you do?
Everybody's
to try
taking
and
shots at
spur
Joe
on
tonight.
The Justice Department.
And he's
to
not
act
too
in the
happy
Garner
about
case.
it.
Mayor de Blasio.
Nope.
Vice
I think he's
President
got
Biden,
hits on everybody, though. He's scripted hits on everybody. He has a little scripted hit for even Booker.
Federal prison population by 38,000 people. Number one. Number two, we in fact insisted that we changed
He
the
did.
roles
Wants
that
to hit
police engaged
the city of New York.
They had that. We provided for body cameras. We made sure that there were a lot of things that were changed in the process. But 38,000 people in the federal system were released under the system. And so the fact is,
You know,
that
by
there's
the
a lot
way,
we've done. But here's the deal. The fact is
this
that we're
prison
talking
reform
about
bill
things
that Kim Kardashian got
occurred
Trump to
a
sign,
long time ago. And now
not
all
what
of
we
a
thought it
sudden,
was.
you know,
There's
I
definitely
find
controversial parts of it.
Violent offenders were released on the streets. Rapists. This wasn't minor drug offenses. These were violent offenders that got released.
And violent offenders were not supposed to be released under the original, the way the bill was pitched.
I actually was reading a story about that whole thing. I was ticked reading it because here we are getting duped by Kim Kardashian. And I don't even think that's it. But it's like we get one proposal and then we get criminals released on the street, violent offenders. Hold on, $1,000 for free.
Tear each other down. We have to focus on beating Donald Trump in 2020. I want to share a story that a prison guard, a corrections officer in New Hampshire said to me. He said, we should pay people to stay out of jail because we spend so much when they're behind bars. Right now, we think we're saving money. We just end up spending the money in much more dark and punitive ways. We should put money directly into people's hands, certainly when they come out of prison, but before they go to prison.
This guy's just all about giving people
I want to
free
bring in
money.
Senator Gillibrand.
Amazing.
You heard
Are we
earlier
allowed
Mayor
to make
de Blasio
math jokes
respond to
now
Secretary
about
Castro
Andrew
on the
Yang? I mean, he
question of why
opened the door
police
for that.
officer
He sure did.
who killed Eric Gardner is still on the NYPD. Was that response adequate? Please respond.
No, he should be fired. He should be fired now.
Wow, way to step out on a limb.
I sat down with Eric Garner's mother, and I can tell you, when you've lost your son, when he begged for breath, when you know because you have a video, when you know he said, I can't breathe so many times over and over again, when you know
That isn't why he
used
died,
an
though.
illegal chokehold.
The key fact is
that
the
person
autopsy
should be
showed there was no
fired, and
connection
as
between
I
the two.
was-
And
if I was the
again,
mayor, I'd
I'm not
fire
even
him.
saying that
But
this
as
is
president,
right
I
for
would
this
make
to happen,
sure
but
that
they
we
always leave
full
out the fact Eric Garner was committing crimes. I mean, they
Yes.
asked him to stop selling cigarettes in front of this store dozens of times.
And he had a long track sheet, and he was much bigger physically than the other person. He refused to comply. I disagree with the way they handled it.
I do too. I would sit there and say, hey, that shouldn't have been done that way to the police.
But by no means was it a clear case of abuse or violation of civil rights.
A young child. Vice President
It
Biden
certainly wasn't a
says
racist
that
thing.
your
Yeah.
current
No, it had nothing to do with
position
it.
on busing, you're opposed
Ooh,
to
busing.
federally mandated busing, that position is the same as
They're
his
bust Kamala
position.
Harrison from
Is he
Montreal.
right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate. Cory Booker would not be a member
Those
of the United States
segregationists
Senate.
were
And
Democrats.
Barack Obama would
They
not
were.
have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds. And so on
Here we
that
go.
issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also
What was
talk
this,
about
30
this
years ago?
conversation about
40
Eric
years ago.
Garner,
40.
because I too
Thank you.
met with his
So
mother.
he did say he didn't want his kid,
And
quote,
one of the
going
things that
into the
we've gotta be
jungle for
clear
school.
about is that this president of the
Just
United
saying.
States,
Ooh.
Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights
That's because they
Division,
wanted to federalize police, and that was a terrible
Division of the
idea.
United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did
a
not
federal
want
grand
those
jury had
charges
no
to go
interest in the
forward,
case, just
and
like a
they
state grand jury had no
overrode
interest
a
in the
decision by
case.
the Civil Rights Division of the United
Thank you,
States
Senator.
Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil
Thank you,
Rights
Senator.
Division will reign, and there will
Vice
be
President
independent
Biden,
investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to
She talks
give you a
over
chance to respond to what
questioners the
Senator
best.
Harris just said.
Like Trump. Just totally ignores as if the
Harris
person's
was
not saying
attorney
anything.
general for 8 years in the state of California.
Yes,
There
Kamala
were two
Harris
of
is
the
an
most
arrogant bitch.
segregated school districts in
See,
the country.
and he's got
in
everybody's
Los
dirt.
Angeles and
It's
in
like,
San
oh,
Francisco.
okay, here's your dirt.
And she did.
You're
not-
attorney
I
general.
didn't see a
You
single
help kill
solitary
people.
time she brought a case
You're
against.
so
them for
corrupt.
segregation. Secondly, she also was
Let me
in a
tell you about all the
situation
bad
where
stuff you've
she had a
done.
police department when she was there that in
See,
fact
it's one
was
after the other.
abusing
He's
people's
memorized
rights.
this.
Well,
And the
Kamala
fact
Harris's
was
list
that
of
she,
dirt
in
is
fact,
long.
was told
Oh, it
by
is
her own
long,
people
long.
That her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client.
Exculpate,
She
yeah.
didn't do that.
That's the
She never
technical
did it.
word.
And so what
Try
happened?
not to butcher the
Along
legal
came a
language.
federal judge and said, enough,
Joe.
and he freed
Thank you.
1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President
Wow.
Biden. Senator
Google
Harris
it. That's
response.
great. He wants her to Google Kamala Harris, 1,000 people free.
Let's Google that, guys. Pull that up on Google.
As
Let's see what we
Attorney
get.
General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received
that's gonna come
national
back to bite her.
recognition.
Yes, yes.
for
I'm
what has
proud of
been
the work I
important
did, and then
work of
imagine the
reforming
headlines.
criminal
Yeah.
justice system
All these people
and
locked up who
cleaning
were
up the
innocent
consequences
people
of the bills
because
that you
she
passed
hid
when you were in the United
evidence
States
that proved
Senate
their
for
innocence.
decades.
And helped
It
other
was the work of
prosecutors
creating
hide
the
it.
one of
Her
the
vision
first
was
in the
blurred when
nation
she was on her
initiatives
knees
around
in
reentry
Governor
former
Brown's
offenders and
office.
getting them jobs and
Good
counseling.
Mayor Willie
I did the
Brown.
work as Attorney General of putting
Thank
body
you, Senator.
cameras on special
I wanna
agents
bring
in
in
the state of
Congresswoman
California, and
I
I'm
wanna-
proud
Search
of that.
Kamala
bring
Harris,
Congresswoman
or
Gamble.
1,000
Congresswoman
prisoners
Gamble
freed
took
Kamala
issue
Harris,
with
right?
Senator
That's what it
Harris
was?
confronting
Yep.
Vice
That was it.
President Biden.
Get it ready
on
to
the
go.
last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor.
You know, here's my
president,
problem
but
with
I'm
Tulsi
deeply concerned
Gabbard is
about this
she goes
record.
with these false
There
narratives.
are too many examples to
The
cite, but
issue is
she put over 1,500
socioeconomic. It's not racial.
That's true.
And I'm just sick of this crap. Why is Tulsi Gabbard so spineless? She knows better than this. She knows better than to sit up here and attack Donald Trump as being unpatriotic. She's spineless because she's kowtowing to the Democrat hate mob right now, and she wants to make headlines. Tulsi Gabbard needs to say what she really believes instead of this fake Democrat narrative crap.
cash bail
Congresswoman.
system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So she
Senator
just
Harris,
drugged
your response.
Kamala Harris again.
Yep. Reminding everybody she's a prosecutor, which is a no-go
As
in the
the
current
elected Attorney
Democratic
General
Party.
of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that
That's
work.
not true.
And I am
No, not even
proud
close.
of making a decision
As I like
not
to tell
just give
everybody, she's still the
fancy
dumbest
speeches
lawyer ever
or
dealt
be
with
in
in
a
court.
legislative body and
By
give
far.
speeches
There's a
on
reason why
court,
she
but
failed the
actually
bar
doing
twice.
the work of being in the position to use the power
least
that I
once.
had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It
Thank
is
you.
why, and because I know that criminal justice
Thank
system
you,
is
Senator.
so broken, that I am an advocate for what
Thank
we
you,
need
Senator.
to do to not
Your
only
time is
Notice how
up.
she's smooth over a
And notice they said in the beginning, you were supposed to be docked time when you did this. They've never docked any of her time.
No.
You were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives. You did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to
There
do
you
so.
go.
There is no excuse for that. And the people
You
who
tried to kill
suffered
innocent
under
people,
your
Kamala.
reign as prosecutor
How does that feel?
You owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
I like that. Oh, them apology. I like that. Oh, there you go.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty,
She
and
might
that
cry.
has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was
made
in a
all the bad
position
ones, Kamala.
of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you.
Oh.
Why are you the best candidate to heal the
What are we
racial
calling this guy
divide
again?
that exists
No
in
lips.
this country today?
In there,
which has
Ernie,
been
what's
stoked
that?
by
Who's
the
that
president's
character
racist
from
rhetoric?
Ernie?
Yeah,
Bert and
first
Ernie?
of all,
No,
the president's racist rhetoric should be enough grounds for
blanking. I'm not
everybody in this
Frankenstein, but
country
the other
to
like
vote him out of
random, the
office.
family that's
That
really
one
weird,
thing alone
eclectic.
should be enough.
There's the little kid that's got like the flat haircut.
I want to answer your question. by
Alex
tagging
called him
on
this,
to the
and I can't remember.
conversation. This is the fourth debate that
Ernie
we have had,
Ernst.
and the second time that we have been debating.
But he is that guy.
what
He's the
people
character
did
from that
50
old
years
show.
ago with busing.
The
when
Addams
our
Family. The
schools
kid
are
from
as
the Addams
segregated today as they were
I don't know the
50
name.
years ago.
It's a little past my generation.
Yeah, that maybe. It may be.
Conversation about what's happening
Go home and
now.
watch some TV Land.
And when there's a group of kids in this country that don't get preschool through no fault of their own, and another group does, equal is not equal. And we've got a group of K-12
Equal is not equal.
That's a Democratic line.
That's
a
huge.
true Democratic line.
That's
Equal
huge. Equal is not equal.
As segregated as they were, equal is not equal.
Doubles down.
And let me
Yep.
tell you something
He knows knows the Democrats love that. They just love hearing that. Yeah, equal is not equal. Equal's not equal. Equal's not equal. That's what they meant by 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, because equal doesn't
The
equal.
mass incarceration
Equal.
that we were talking about on this
Eddie
stage a
Munster.
few minutes
That's
ago.
it. This dude is Eddie Munster.
No, Eddie Munster. Eddie Munster's good looking.
88% of the people in our prisons
But look at that
dropped out of
hairdo.
high
He's like
school.
if Eddie Munster grew up.
Let's
That's this
fix
guy.
our school system, and
This
maybe
guy's
we can fix
getting a little.
the prison pipeline.
He's
that we
he's trying to get excited, trying to get pumped, pump himself up. You know the Arnold Schwarzenegger "pump me up" thing.
Governor
Saturday Night
Inslee, please
Live.
respond.
Pump you up.
You know, I approach this
The glasses are
question
not working.
with humility
Not working.
because I have not experienced what many Americans have. I've never been a black
That's an
teenager
understatement.
pulled over in a white neighborhood. I've never been a woman talked over in a meeting. I've never been
That sounds bigoted. That sounds
member
discriminatory.
subject to a
He's
slur.
He's never been a woman
And so I
talked over in a
believe
meeting.
I
Well,
have an
identify as a
added
woman, and then you can't
responsibility,
experience
double
Exactly.
responsibility
He doesn't
to deal with
recognize
racial
full
disparity.
identity.
We talked on the way we do it, including ending the school to prison pipeline in my state. But I want to say this, and this is a common error, that every single senator on this stage, as much as I respect them all, they all have an enormous error, which is going to prevent our party from making any progressive progress in the United States. And
Progressive
it is this.
Progress.
We are all going to work like the Dickens to get more Democrats elected to the Senate, right? We are going to do that. And I hope we're going to succeed. But if we get a majority in the U.S. Senate, because of the position of these senators, not a damn thing's going to get done. And I'll tell you why. With all their good intentions, and I know they're very sincere and passionate, and I respect them enormously. But because they embrace this antediluvial, a supermajority thing called the filibuster, Mitch McConnell is going to run the U.S. Senate even if we take a majority.
Thank you.
We got to get rid of the filibuster so we can
Thank
make
you, Governor.
progress.
Mr.
Get
Gang,
rid of the
Mr.
filibuster.
Gang, why are you the best candidate
just
to
let
heal
government
the racial
run
divide
everything.
in America? Your response.
I spent 7 years running a nonprofit that helped create thousands of jobs, including hundreds right here in Detroit, as well as Baltimore, Cleveland, New Orleans. And I saw that the racial disparities are much, much worse than I'd ever imagined. They're even worse still. A study just came out that projected the average African-American median net worth will be 0 by 2053. So you have to ask yourself, how is that possible?
Where do these
It's
random
possible because
stats
we're in the
come from?
midst of the greatest economic
His hairpiece.
transformation in our
At 21-27.
history. Artificial intelligence is coming. It's going to displace hundreds of thousands of call center workers. Truck drivers, the most common job in 29 states, including this one. And you know who suffers most in a natural disaster? It's people of color, people who have lower levels of capital and
my
education and
gosh.
resources. So what are we going to do about it? We should just go back to the writings of Martin Luther King, who in 1967, his
Can you
book
believe
Chaos
this
Our Community
Asian
said, we need a
supremacist?
guaranteed minimum income in the United States of America. That is the most effective way for us to address racial inequality in a genuine way and give every American a chance in the 21st century.
I'm so
economy.
sick of this
Mr. Yang,
false
thank you very
equivalency
much.
of social economic
Castro,
issues to racism.
After
It's
the
just so
president's racist
low
tweets
IQ,
attacking
man.
Baltimore and Congressman Elijah Cummings, the mayor of Baltimore slammed the tweets.
That's why they
and said
never
to the
get anything
president,
done. They sit here and they blame racism for everything. No, it's a
"Send the
social
resources
economic
that we
issue.
need to rebuild America." So what would you do for Baltimore and other cities that need help?
First of all, the president is a racist. And that was
thank you.
A drink award winner. But a drink award winner and a bingo award winner.
What would you do for the crumbling infrastructure of inner cities? But the president is a racist.
Impossibility.
Orange man.
Here's what I would do if I'm president. Number one, I would invest in tremendous educational opportunity, invest in universal pre-K.
Democrats have been saying that for decades.
Invest in improving K through 12 education and also making higher education
Or give
available
more money
to
to
everyone
government
through
unions.
tuition-free public state
And
universities,
create more
community
government jobs.
colleges, and job training and certification programs. I would follow up on the work that I did at HUD. We passed the most sweeping.
By the way,
rule
you know,
to
Obama's
further
stimulus package,
desegregate
this is
our
incredible.
communities in the United
Somebody did a
States.
study on this.
This Trump
Obama's
administration
stimulus
set that back.
package,
I would put that
billions of
back in
dollars
order.
to build the
I would
U.S.
also
infrastructure.
invest in
It all
housing
went to
that is
unions.
affordable, because folks
I mean,
know
or
that the rent is
major
going through the
donors or
roof.
contributors.
And we
It
need
was
to
not.
make
There was
sure
no
that
stimulus.
you
They didn't
don't
stimulate.
have to
What
get
happened from
West
Obama's quote-unquote
Baltimore,
stimulus
or inner
package?
city Detroit,
Nothing. It
or
all
the
went
west
to
side of San
to
Antonio, or
unions
anywhere
and
that you
Democrat
want to reach your
donors or
American
Democrat
dream.
donors
I want you
through
to be able to
unions.
accomplish
Well, that was
it
the point.
in your great
Stipulated.
neighborhood where
He
you
was.
are.
His goal was to stimulate his base.
What's your response?
And it was actually genius. And now that he's out of office and Hillary's not in, they have no money.
I don't believe
Yeah.
that it's
And Hillary has all the money.
responsibility
Exactly.
of pouring
Obama literally
Kamala
funneled all
to
the money
be
from the
only
stimulus
voice
to the
take on
Democrat
issues of
Party,
institutional racism,
and now they're broke
systemic
because
racism
Hillary's the only one with any war
They
chest.
ran off with it out the
I think
backyard,
as a white
out the
woman
back.
of privilege, who is a U.S. senator
white
running
privilege.
for
White woman
Oh, I
of
can't wait to
privilege.
hear this.
She's
It
a
is
what?
also my responsibility.
It is.
to
It's
lift
your
up
fault.
Those voices that
It's
aren't
your
being
fault.
listened to, and I can talk to those.
Why don't you
white
step
women
down
in
from the Senate
suburbs
and
that
let a
voted for
minority
Trump and
person
explain
replace
to
you?
them what white privilege actually is.
You know,
That
Kristen
when their
Gillibrand
son
is the
is
girl at the
walking
high
down
school
street
party
with a bag
with a
of
drink
M&Ms
that
in
you
his
know you can
pocket,
just walk
wearing a
over and
hoodie.
ask for like
His
a
whiteness
free
is what
beer.
protects him from not being shot.
And she's always down to give you a beer.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
When their child has a car that breaks down and he knocks on someone's door for help, and the door opens and
Hey,
the
I'm
help
thirsty.
is given,
I think I'm
it's
gonna go
his
to
whiteness that protects him from
Gillibrand
being
for a beer.
shot. That is what white privilege in America is today.
White privilege.
And so my responsibility is to not only lift up those stories, but explain to communities across America.
My thing
like
is,
I
if you
did in
believe in
Youngstown,
white privilege,
Ohio,
just give up
to a
your
young
own
mother,
privilege.
that this
Right?
is
Just
all
start
of our
there.
She should step down
Give
from
up.
her office. Why is she
Step
running
down
for
from the
president?
Senate. Exactly. She's keeping her white privilege by being in the Senate.
Why is this
turn
white
to the
bigot
issue
running
of the
for
climate
office?
crisis.
Now, who is this
The
white
United
bigot? Dana
Nations
Bash?
Says the world needs to cut all carbon emissions by 2050.
Climate change, apocalypse.
Hold on. If
5
you
years.
cut all carbon emissions, the planet would cease to exist.
Climate change is the biggest
Like,
existential threat.
She's asking the Mr. Climate Apocalypse. Let's see if he goes under 12 years. Under 10 if he wants to beat Beto.
That the others don't.
Well,
7?
I know the firsthand terrific impact of climate change on Americans across the country already.
Such impact.
The family who I saw with their aluminum home now just a pile
They have an
of
aluminum home?
aluminum.
The whole,
Lost
their
everything.
whole home is aluminum?
Now it's just a pile of aluminum.
I think they got bigger problems if the whole home is aluminum.
Global warming made it a pile of aluminum now.
Yeah.
We have to act now.
Okay, good.
Look, climate
Act when?
change
Now.
is not a singular issue.
I got to beat the 10 years?
All
Okay,
the
now.
issues that we Democrats care about.
World might
It is
end tomorrow.
health.
Might.
It is national security. It is our economy.
He's checking his notes. This is pitiful.
Middle ground solutions,
World
like the
might
Vice
end tomorrow.
President has proposed, or sort of middling, average-sized things are not going to save us. Too little, too late is too dangerous. And we have to have a bold plan. And
Should've come up with a better line.
The gold standard. Now,
Yeah, it's like he
we
practiced it,
also
but he
need
couldn't
to
remember what
embed
the next part
environmental
was supposed to be.
justice. I was in zip code 48217 in the Detroit neighborhood the other day.
I was in
right next
zip
to an
code
oil refinery where the
48217.
kids have asthma and they have cancer clusters. And after talking to these folks, I believe
Thank
this. I believe this.
Yeah, that
It
was
doesn't
under
matter
the
where you're
Democrat
sitting. It doesn't
rule
matter
of
what
Look at de
you're
Detroit.
Blasio trying to stick his arm in there.
Clean air,
Thank you,
clean
Governor.
water in America. That's
Vice
what I
President
believe.
Biden, I'd like to get your response. Governor Inslee just said
said that your plan is middling.
There is no middle ground about my plan. The fact of the matter is, I call for the immediate action to be taken. First of all, one of the things that we're responsible for 15% of all the pollution in the country. He's right about how it affects people. and it affects neighborhoods.
He's right. Those 10 candidates are probably responsible for 15% of the pollution in this country, at least air pollution.
Is something I helped negotiate.
They're definitely heating up Detroit with all their hot air.
I would immediately rejoin that Paris Accord.
They're apparently melting aluminum can buildings.
And people are all living in aluminum houses up there.
By the way, the Democrats have been running Detroit for decades. That's irrelevant.
Summit, and I would raise the standard.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
also
Vice
invest $400 billion.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, he's talking through.
He is. It's like, I memorized this stuff, by golly. Let me say all this. I memorized it.
The important number in Vice President Biden's remarks just now was that the United States is only 15% of global emissions. We like to act as if we're 100%.
Yeah, Biden said
is,
the
even
country.
If we were
He
to
got it
curb our emissions
confused.
dramatically, the Earth is still going to get warmer. And we can see it around us this summer. The last 4 years have been the 4 warmest years in recorded history. This is going to be a tough
Recorded
truth, but we are
history
too
of
late.
what?
We are 10 years too
What
late.
percent of human
we need
life?
to do everything we can to start moving the climate in the right direction, but we also need to start moving our people to higher ground. And the best way to do that is to put economic.
We need to get out of so everybody who lives in a valley needs to be moved, permanently moved.
Abandon New Orleans, abandon Houston.
Yep, abandon any
abandon Florida.
Move to Denver, I guess. Move to Aspen.
No, move to Yang's house.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, your plan is just too late. The science tells us we have to get off coal in 10 years. Your plan does not
Oh my
do that.
gosh.
We
10
have
years.
To have
See,
off
this is
of
what I'm saying, though,
fossil
like,
fuels in our electrical grid. in
Here's
50
why
years.
it's so frustrating.
The plan simply does not do that.
These debates aren't even based in reality.
No, that's what's interesting watching Biden. Biden's like, oh, you're insane. You're actually insane over there
That's the
too.
kind of plan we need.
They just came out. I mean, they just found out that the carbon emissions in China. I mean, okay, you can talk about the Chinese air pollution. Nobody's denying that. But the carbon emissions are actually increasing the foliage.
Yeah.
There's more forestation of China today than ever in recorded history.
Well, there's a wide range of items that counter are counterfactual there.
Carbon is the biggest problem. If we just eliminate carbon, all our problems will be solved.
Exactly. Well, and there's many things we simply don't know about the way carbon interacts with the environment.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
I'd vote for
Would there
one
be
atom of
any
carbon
place
over any
for
of these
fossil fuels,
presidents right here.
including coal and fracking in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either
That
one
is
of those.
such a lie.
Either
It's
any
not
fossil
even
fuel.
funny.
That's bye-bye West Virginia, bye-bye Pennsylvania.
That's bye-bye everything. But it's not even real. Nobody will do that. Nobody's going to stop oil production.
Exactly.
Coal in 10 years. And we need a president to do it.
No, that's exactly it. Alex was right, though. Shut down your power. Shut down your power. Shut down your power plants. Stop your power sources. Let China have it all. Let China manufacture the steel. Stop being productive, America. Stop fueling your enterprises, America. Stop having an economy. Shut it down. This is literally like an enemy transmission right now.
He's been pushing science fiction instead of science fact. The guy thinks that wind turbines cause cancer, but what in fact they cause is jobs. And the reality is that
Only if you subsidize them. Only if you give it a lot of government money.
Yeah, they create jobs. People manufacture the wind turbines, and then they're costly, and then they take them down.
Yes.
Those are the jobs.
On day one as president, I would
And she thinks it's a conspiracy theory that wind turbines kill birds. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's common sense, basically. Bird, wind, turbine, both. Bye.
The guarantee of a job.
Randy
with
Johnson once threw a
medical
fastball
leave,
that blew a bird up.
paid vacations, and retirement security for everyone in America.
It was probably global warming.
Yes.
It was hot that
So,
day.
The first thing that I'm going to do when I'm president is I'm going to Clorox the Oval Office.
Ooh, a
Second
little
thing I'm
comedy.
going to do-
Yep. See, she came up with her line. She had a plan. I'm going to Clorox.
Re-engage on global climate change.
That's pretty good.
Is Clorox appropriate use, though? I don't know. A lot of the chemicals that are in there.
Clorox
and
bleach.
so-
Is that a white? Is that a?
Democrats do have a lot of experience with bleaching.
That's true.
Threat to humanity
But I could twist that and say that Kristen Gillibrand just made a white supremacist statement. She wants to bleach the
Well,
White House.
imagine if Trump had said that while Obama was in the White House.
But
It would have
they
been
did.
racist.
Melania literally sent like an exorcist, like a team of exorcists into the White House to
of severe
get all the
weather
demons
right now
out.
on families' lives. And so the truth is, we need a robust solution. When John F. Kennedy said, "I want to put a man on the moon in the next 10 years," not because it's easy.
I mean, I get it. Kristen Gillibrand, she's endearing. She's kind of like a hopeful spirit. You know, I understand why the Nixon cult was interested in her.
To galvanize worldwide competition. He wanted to have a space race with Russia. Why not have a green energy race with China? Why not?
Because China's not interested.
Exactly.
China will, oh yeah, have your green energy. China will laugh you all the way out of commission.
Exactly. China will be glad for you to win that. Say, keep going, keep going. Good job.
Green energy. We're going to keep making coal and
Making lots of money.
Yeah.
And all the jobs will be in China.
And then we're gonna collapse our currency.
Well, first of all, this is
hilarious.
personal. You can imagine, I grew up in Hawaii, which is the most
Hawaii.
remote
Hawaii.
island chain in the world. So
Is
for us,
it Hawaii or
growing
Hawaii?
up there,
Apparently
protecting our
it's
environment
Hawaii.
was not a political issue. It's a way of life. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. This is why, as a member of Congress, long before there was ever a Green New Deal, I introduced the most ambitious climate change legislation ever in Congress, called the Off Fossil Fuels Act. That actually laid out an actionable plan to take
There's a
us
lot
from
of
where we are
eco-nuts in
today
Hawaii.
to transition off of fossil fuels and invest in green renewable
It's just
energy,
so funny because
invest
they
in
have no
workforce
solutions.
training,
They
invest in the
attack
kinds of
fossil fuels.
infrastructure
Fine,
that we
okay,
need
we'll quit burning
to
fossil
deal
fuels.
with the
How am
problems
I
and
going to get to
challenges
work?
that climate is-
How am I
is
going to travel
posing to
across the
us
country?
today.
How am I going to build anything?
It's purely a fake problem as an excuse to scaremonger people into massive governmental control. That's all it is.
But even if
I just wanna take,
even if
first
they
of all,
wanted
step
to get rid of
back
fossil
and
fuels
say that I
for whatever
agree
reason,
wholeheartedly
there's no
with governments
solution.
like
What are you going to
Well,
do?
they're not going to actually do that. They're going to subsidize favored industries. They're going to discriminate against disfavored industries, and they're going to assert massive regulatory power. Hey, yeah, you're cool, Spartacus.
Clearly. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
try
you, dude.
harder. Look, the reason why is because, first of all, this problem didn't start yesterday.
Dude just looks
Science
weird.
didn't become a reality
He's got like an alien
yesterday. This has been going on for years. There was another president
It's
that would
one of
not
the larger
join an
milk
international
duds. You
accord.
know,
Then it
some
was
are
the
larger than
Kyoto
others.
Accord. I was mayor then. And I
He
stood
tried to
up
do the whole
national
Trump thing like
leadership,
Beto. You notice that?
joining with other mayors
The
to
red
say
tie, the
climate
white
change is
shirt,
not
blue
a
suit.
separate issue. It must be the issue.
Is
in the
Cory
lens
Booker doing
of
whiteface?
every issue. Nobody should get
Did he put
applause
on
for
makeup?
rejoining
I-
the
Yeah, he definitely put on makeup.
He looks like he has some weird makeup going.
Though that might not be all that unusual for Cory.
Everything from our trade deals, everything from the
Not that there's
billions of
anything wrong
dollars we
with that.
spend
Right.
on
Yeah,
foreign
no.
aid, everything must be sublimated to the challenge and the crisis that is existential, which is dealing
Existential
with
is another drinking term.
Yes, the
So
majority of this problem
anybody who
is
was in the
outside
drinking
United
game is
States.
already long past
The
drunk
only
at
way
this
we're gonna
point.
deal with
But you're
this
still
is if the
probably
United
smarter
States
than the average Democrat
leads.
candidate.
Thank you,
Yes.
Senator. Mayor de Blasio.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Your
And you could probably
administration
still
has
speak
come
better than Joe
under
Look at
Biden.
Blasio. He's so esteemed.
Look at that. Look, he's got the nose up. He's got
He's
the
so
chin up.
esteemed. I'm abandoning my duties as the mayor of New York City. My top staffer was a total pedophile with dozens, if not hundreds, of child porn, and I loved him. And he got a sweetheart deal.
He's looking at her like, is a woman asking me a question?
We have a huge problem, and it's
And he totally
decades
ignores her
old
as soon as
in
he
New York,
talks.
But here's what we've done about it. We've declared the eradication of all lead, literally ending the notion of lead poisoning once and for all.
So there's no lead pencils in
So
New
we're
York
getting rid
City?
of lead pencils, we're getting rid of lead, we're getting rid of carbon. No, but seriously, pull this up. This is so ridiculous that this guy's even on the stage. He has totally abandoned his duties as the mayor of New York City. Totally abandoned. He's not even there anymore.
Yeah.
They got all kinds of issues happening right now. But beyond that, if Donald Trump had an employee at Trump Hotel in wherever that got arrested for having gigabytes of child porn, they would somehow use that to destroy Donald Trump. Please put Jacob Schwartz into a search engine right now. This was Bill de Blasio's top staffer. He was like the up-and-coming next John Podesta in the Democrat Party.
Yep.
Jacob Schwartz gets busted. A huge pedophile. The guy's like a massive pedophile. All kinds of child porn being groomed as the next top Democrat under Bill de Blasio. And this guy is on stage and has never even had to address it. He's never had to address his top staffer being a pedophile who watches child rape. Okay? But let me tell you something right now. This just shows you, there it is. Former de Blasio employee sentenced to prison for child porn. By the way, he got a sweetheart deal. There's no such thing as child porn. It's child rape. Jacob Schwartz, top Democrat staffer under Bill de Blasio, watched child rape regularly. Okay? And Bill de Blasio has never had to answer to that. Never.
Lead as a major public health threat. We need to do it, we can do it, and I will do it.
Thank
if
you,
I'm
Secretary
president.
Castro.
May I get in on
Donald
this?
Trump won independence here in Michigan by 16 percentage points, which was critical to Donald Trump winning the state's 16 electoral votes. Now there is a big debate within the Democratic Party here and around the country about the best way that Democrats can win back Michigan. Vice President Biden Last night on this stage, Senator Elizabeth Warren said, quote, "We're not going to solve the urgent problems that we face with small ideas and spinelessness. We're going to solve them by being the
He's
Democratic Party
implicitly
of big,
saying, Joe,
structural
you're sort of small and spineless. How do you
What do
feel?
you say to progressives who worry that your proposals are not ambitious enough to energize the progressive wing of your party, which you will need to beat Donald Trump?"
Because we did it. I was asked to manage an $87 billion plan to be spent in a total of 18 months that revived this state and many others, and it kept us out of a depression with 0.2% of waste or fraud. Secondly, I was part of the organization and within our administration that pushed bailing General Motors out, saving tens of thousands of jobs here in this state. Number three, I also was asked, as the mayor of Detroit can tell you, by the President of the United States to help Detroit get out of bankruptcy and get back on its feet. I spent better part of 2 years out here working to make sure that it did exactly that. We invested significantly in this city, in transportation, anyway, the point is we've made significant investments in this state. I expect in this city, I suspect that's why the mayor endorsed me.
Thank you, Vice President
Didn't
Biden.
endorse the senator.
Senator Gillibrand, what's your response?
To the people of Michigan, I know exactly how I beat President Trump. I've already done it. I took a bus tour to talk about Trump's broken promises here in Michigan. He promised no bad trade deals. Not only did he not have bad trade deals, he started a trade war with China, and he just signed on to another bad trade agreement with NAFTA 2.0, a giveaway to drug companies in Mexico. I took the bus to Michigan, to Ohio, and to Pennsylvania, telling people that he has broken his promises to them. I lifted up their voices, I listened to their concerns, and I offered real solutions. And I've done this before. My first House district I ran in was a 2-to-1 Republican district. I won it twice, and I haven't lost an election since. So I can bring people together in red, purple, and blue areas.
Thank
but
you,
more
Senator
than that,
Gillibrand.
I can get things done.
Mr. Yang, in poll after poll, Democratic voters saying that having a nominee who can beat President Trump is more important to them than having a nominee who agrees with them on major issues. And right now, according to polls, they say the candidate who has the best chance of doing that, of beating President Trump, is Vice President Biden. Why are they wrong?
Well, I'm building a coalition of disaffected Trump voters, independents, libertarians, and conservatives, as well as Democrats and progressives. I believe I'm the candidate best suited to beat Donald Trump. And as for how to win in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania, the problem is that so many people feel like the economy has left them behind. What we have to do is we have to say, look, there's record high GDP and stock market prices. You know what else are at record highs? Suicides, drug overdoses, depression, anxiety. It's gotten so bad that American life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years. And I like to talk about my wife who's at home with our 2 boys right now, one of whom is autistic.
Drinking game winner.
What does her work count at in today's economy? 0, and we know that's the opposite of the truth. We know that her work is among the most challenging and vital. The way we win this election is we redefine economic progress to include all the things that matter to the people in Michigan and all of us.
Wait, so is he
like our own
saying
health,
because my
our
wife is a
well-being,
stay-at-home
our mental
mother?
health, our clean air and
He's saying that the economy doesn't reward staying at home.
Oh, is he saying she should get paid then?
Yes, that hence the uniform basic
Of course, it's
income.
Andrew Yang. What am I talking about? That's the solution to everything. Just give money away.
Exactly. Why will I win? I will give more money
I
away.
have a headache, Andrew Yang. Hey, here's
Trump won
$10.
this election because far too many people in this country felt like they've been left behind by both political parties, by self-serving politicians on both sides who are more interested in partisan politics than they are in actually fighting for the people. I'm speaking the truth to people all across this country about the fact that people in Flint, Michigan are still being left behind, still being poisoned by the water in their system, because every single month we are spending $4 billion on a continuing war in Afghanistan, $4 billion every single month, rather than ending that war, bringing our troops home and using those precious resources into serving the needs of the people here in this country, people and communities like Flint. That's the kind of
Here's
leadership
Gabbard's
that
problem. She's right about that, but she's wrong in her approach to it. She should be working with Trump to get that done. She should be up there saying, I want to help Trump stop end the war in Afghanistan. But see, here, I'm telling you this. Tulsi Gabbard, tell me if you agree with this. Tulsi Gabbard was given a golden opportunity with the Google censorship and the pretty much just being cast aside by the Democrat Party. She could have embraced that role as the outsider, as the anti-establishment candidate, and come out here, and instead of kowtowing with these anti-Trump talking point BS stuff that she's gone off of, oh, he's unpatriotic, he's this, total nonsense. She should have been embracing her role as anti-establishment, pointing that out like you were saying earlier. Hey, big tech is against me. Hey, I don't agree with Trump, but let's work to end the war in Afghanistan. Let's work to bring these funds home. Let's work to bring patriotism back. But she couldn't do it, and that's going to kill her because she gave herself enough of an open wound to weaken herself that the Democrats can knock her off the stage, and she's not going to have enough support. She's not going to have enough ardent support out there that stands up for her now because she didn't embrace that role.
Really, she's becoming the anti-war Dennis Kucinich of the Democratic Party. So I think she's running not for the purposes of getting the nomination. It's for building a base of hardcore people that are Gabbardites. So her objective is different, basically.
That has resulted in American families spending as much as $1.4 billion more a month on everything from shampoo to washing machines.
Did you say $1.4 billion?
Who spends $1.4 billion on shampoo?
Yeah.
It's the best shampoo.
I think she meant to say that families, but it's, the way she said it was each family is spending $1.4 billion.
Let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this earlier. Do any of these candidates, because I was comparing Joe Biden to Hillary Clinton, and if I just compare those two and their approach to the debates and just everything, did CNN just go to break, guys?
They did.
Okay. I just compared those two. I mean, they claim Biden's the leading candidate. Well, whatever. So I'm comparing Biden to Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton wanted it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Hillary Clinton wanted to win. You could see it.
She wanted it from the time she was like 14.
But you could feel it. You could see it. And she had it, the energy, the it factor. None of the 20 Democrat candidates have it. It's like I wouldn't even think any of them want to win. I don't have that feeling. I don't have that desire, that destiny. That none of them give me any emotional response like this person wants to win.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, I think to a certain degree, Bernie originally campaigned for his ideas, not to be president. Now he can imagine himself being president. He's locked into the idea of it, but more so that than he hasn't had the fire to be president his whole life. Kamala Harris just thinks she deserves it. Biden is running because they forced him into it. Someone like Gabbard is running to spread a particular message. Someone like Yang is running to spread a particular message. People like Inslee and Hickenlooper are running in the wrong time frame and really aren't connected in ways that they think they are. So I think two things happened. There was a motivation on the Clinton side to destroy their bench because what you're talking about, Hillary always wanted it so badly. Hillary's goal was to make sure nobody could compete with her. And in order to do that, they needed to basically make sure there was no AAA players of quality. They needed to make sure the only players out there are single A. So that, and they're not little Lenny Dyksters in single A ready to bounce up right away. And so because of that, that's why you're seeing this field of mediocrity. It's because this is the vestigial effect and the lasting legacy of the Clintons. The Clintons made sure they kept everybody subservient, and anybody who could challenge them was put on the back bench or put further back even than that. That's why the only interesting candidates are really young people like Yang, relatively young like Gabbard, that are really independent and have any passion. Or otherwise old guys who are just had an idea who's really running for professor-in-chief in the case of Bernie. So I think that's why you see the dynamic you have. This is a vestigial effect of the Clintons effectively eviscerating any potential immediate competition.
This is going to be amazing. I mean, I think they've got one more big debate planned, one more big debate coming up here for the Democrats. I think with the big, 20-person clown act or whatever. And then, at this point, well,
there's going to be a round in September, another round in October. I don't think Biden can last by tonight. By his performance.
But let's be honest. What they'd like to see, I think, is Biden, Harris, Warren, Sanders, probably. I think that those.
I think they don't like Bernie. So the media establishment.
But they got to have him in there just to have some ratings.
That's probably true, but I think they would be happy if he would just go away. They would like a race of just Warren, Harris, and Biden. And they're having doubts now about Biden, so that's why they would almost move. That's why they've moved to Harris. And they prefer Harris to Warren. Warren is tolerable to them, but not desirable. Their desire is that Harris take the lead.
But they know Harris has no chance.
Not in their mind. In their mind, Harris reflects their kind of world. So these are people who still think Hillary didn't lose but had it stolen from her. So these are people who are still in denial about what happened in 2016, and they're going to continue to be in denial through 2020. They have some doubts about the policy positions that they're taking, but otherwise, to them, Kamala Harris is the norm. If you live in a New York Times, CNN world, Kamala Harris seems moderate.
Clown world. All right.
There we go.
We're about to come back for the final segment here. Let's do some odds making here. Before we go back, let's do some odds making. I think right now, I would say, as far as the Drudge poll is concerned, I think definitely Tulsi Gabbard is going to take that easily.
I think so. Maybe Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang.
I was going to say for Google search purposes, maybe Gabbard Yang.
The only thing is Biden may have thrown a complete wrench in that by saying, please everybody Google Kamala Harris 1,000 people.
That's true. That's actually true. So that might give Kamala Harris a boost in the Google search results.
But not the ones she desires to be.
I do think, though, organic, you're going to have Gabbard Yang. I think Michael Bennett stirred some interesting energy today.
They probably did. And because nobody really knows him, they'll pay some attention. I think Castro got some looks. I think Booker got some looks. I think Biden did better. I think Harris scored some points, also took some hits. Gillibrand did okay, but again, sort of like, what do you remember? You don't remember anything. I think Gillibrand is like Beto and Klobuchar. She's becoming irrelevant and insignificant.
We've got an infestation in the studio. Can we do something about this infestation here? We've got a Democrat infestation.
Putting the rat in Democrat.
This is unbelievable. Democrat Elijah Cummings rat infestation in the studio right now. Can we get somebody to get rid of these rats, please?
King Elijah, the king of both.
We've got a infestation in the studio. All right, let's go back to these Democrat morons.
They have health care so that they don't have to worry about going homeless because they can't afford a medical procedure.
Thank you, Secretary Castro. I want to turn now to a question about trade and for Congresswoman Gabbard. Many saw the Trans-Pacific Partnership issue as something that would be a critical tool to deal with the rise of China. You were against it. How would you ensure that the United States is able to remain competitive against China on the world stage?
By pushing for fair
trade. The Trans-Pacific Partnership would have given more power to China.
Away the sovereignty
allowed all
of the American
Chinese
people
subordinate
and our
economies to
Hold
dominate.
on, listen to this lie from Tulsi Gabbard.
And that threaten our environment. These are the three main issues with that massive trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I think the central one
I thought you were talking about Trump's
that
deals.
it
Okay,
gave
she's hitting the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's right. She's right.
And it was the press that was trying to push the TPP would have restrained China. No, it wouldn't have.
Federal law or a state or a local law. This is extremely dangerous and goes against the very values that we have as a country. What to speak of the fact that it would have a negative impact on domestic jobs and that it lacked clear protections for our environment. These are the things that we have to keep at the forefront as we look to enact fair trade deals with other countries to make sure that we continue to be a thriving part of our global economy.
So to be clear, Congresswoman, would you keep President Trump's tariffs on China in place?
I would not. Because
yes,
the approach
you would.
that President Trump has taken
I
has
agree.
been
She's lying
extremely volatile.
See, that's a
without
lie.
Any clear strategic plan,
They can't be pro-Trump, even though when they're really for Trump's policies.
I'm telling you, Tulsi Gabbard is blowing this, and maybe you're right, she doesn't want to win. Maybe her people are giving her bad intel. Tulsi Gabbard has more support in the Trump camp than she does in the Democrat camp.
That's true.
And she needs to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that can keep her alive.
Exactly. Not only that, it's Trump voters who have no excuse, who have no reason to vote in the Republican primary, and there's a lot of open primaries this year.
You can vote in Democrat primaries.
Exactly, a whole bunch of states.
Guys, I'm telling you, there were multiple stories this week. Wall Street Journal, I think even Washington Post, all over the news, CNBC, I think. The Trump tariffs are working in China.
Of course they are.
It was front page in China's
There's zero
news.
doubts about that.
It was that's where it was. Front page in China newspapers, how the tariffs, Chinese exportation is down for 3 straight months. That hasn't happened in decades, and it's directly because of Trump's tariffs.
Exactly. And you had major steel industry executives and aluminum industry executives saying exactly that, saying that the steel industry is back and getting back into a better place solely because of Trump willing to take action.
And Tulsi Gabbard knows that. This is why I'm so angry at Tulsi Gabbard.
And it would benefit, particularly in Michigan.
Because I like
Michigan,
Tulsi
it's
Gabbard.
very beneficial. Pennsylvania, it's very beneficial.
I like Tulsi Gabbard. I'm pulling for Tulsi Gabbard. She's hurting herself And
Yeah, so far she hasn't scored any really big points tonight. She's
all
been
she had to do, and she would
treading water.
She would have gotten all the headlines if she would have been like, "No, Trump's tariff deals are working." It would have been bombshell.
Plus, she's got to use an opportunity here somewhere to jump in about big tech. Maybe she's saving it for the closing, but big tech, Assange, something that gets people to pay attention to her as a standout. Right now, she hasn't achieved.
You got to go against Trump. Like everything has to be anti-Trump.
Right.
You know, it's like air. Trump breathes air. Oh my gosh. Oxygen is bad. Did you hear Trump breathes oxygen every day? Shut down oxygen. Like that's
how Trump got the Democrats to literally defend rats.
When they were calling out the rat infestation decades ago.
Trump's against rats? Well, rats are good.
It's like Baltimore in this studio right now. There's so many
de Blasio's
rats.
taking a shot at Biden. More shots. That's good.
That empower organized labor.
He's pointing out Barack Obama's Joe Biden has a long history of being on the wrong side of trade deals. Being on the foreign side and the multinational side, never the American side.
Yes. That's it? No, he said, would I insist that labor be engaged? The answer is yes.
I consider that a victory.
Well,
Nobody likes you, de Blasio. That's why nobody laughed.
you know what? We believe in redemption, Joe. We believe in redemption in this party.
Well, I tell you what, I hope you're part of it.
Okay, I want to ask a question of Senator Bennett now. Senator, CNN reached out.
Media doesn't want to talk about Joe's bad history on trade because it makes him very unpopular within the within his own base.
That was awkward.
Amongst
That
blue.
ending. That was a little awkward there with Joe and de Blasio. All right, let's go to No Lips Bennett.
Displace workers and create
Lipless.
uncertainty around human job security.
He does look
How
like
would
Eddie
you
Munster.
balance these disruptions created by technology with the beneficial impact of technology on our economy?
Dana, this goes to the last question you asked as well, which is how are we going to remain competitive? It's not just about trade, which we were talking about earlier. It's about whether we're going to invest in this country anymore. Since 2001, we have cut $5 trillion worth of taxes. Almost all of that has gone to the wealthiest people in America. We have made
but they pay the most
income
taxes, too.
inequality worse, not better, through the policies of the federal government. We've spent $5.6 trillion in the Middle East. That's 12 or 13 trillion dollars that, from the point of view of driving the economy in Michigan or anywhere else in America, we might as well just have lit that money on fire.
And that's what the TPP did.
Stop doing that.
Yep. That's why it would have done.
It would have done if it had gone through.
But NAFTA, I mean, that's why the shipping is leaving Detroit, the manufacturing is leaving Detroit. This is why it's going to China and Mexico.
We could have fixed every airport that needs to be fixed. We could have fixed not just Flint, but every water system.
See, I agree with this. And this is actually Trump's plan, which I wish he would do better on, quite frankly. I mean, we still have... don't even get me started on the infrastructure. Honestly, I'm so sick of driving in holes, potholes all over the road.
Yeah.
Seriously, it infuriates me. Our airports, half the airports are crumbling. Let's go to Mike Adams here, though, before...
women.
they're going to play identity politics here. Guys, let me know when they're making final statements. But let's go to Mike Adams here. So, Mike, you've been watching these debates tonight. I mean, it's really just an embarrassment. Clearly, the Democrats have nobody that could even get in the ring with Trump. I mean, this is like asking a high school amateur boxer to get in the ring with Mike Tyson in 1989. I mean, this is not even fair. He'll kill him.
That's true, yes.
But
it's amateur hour.
Mike, here's what's frustrating, because they're raising some real points and some real issues, but because they hate Trump so much, they can't admit that Trump is actually doing things to stop these problems from happening and persisting, unlike the Democrat-Republican Party, unilateral party, for the last decades. I mean, trade deals with China, Trump is winning. Fair trade, Trump is winning. Trying to get some infrastructure done. But, I mean, Mike, what do you make of this weird virtue signal competition, straw man argument competition so far from the Democrats?
Well, what's clear, and by the way, thanks for having me on. I just want to compliment both of you. Your analysis, both of you, Robert and Owen, has been spot on. You guys, it's almost like you have a crystal ball. You can read these people. You can see right through them. You know what's going to happen. So just really amazing analysis.
Well, we have been training meditation with Marianne Williamson, so I got to give her some credit.
Yeah, get out your tarot cards and read each other's auras there while you're at it. But what really shocks me about all of this is how delusional they all are and how they would rather see America fail than to see Trump succeed. The Democrat Party now has really come to the point where they just want to burn this country down. because they don't want any credit to go to Trump's policies or Trump's leadership or Trump's willingness to just stay in the ring and fight. And they're not used to having a fighter. And just as Robert Barnes pointed out, Hillary Clinton got rid of all the fighters in the Democrat Party over the last more than 4 years, leaving a bunch of pathetic weaklings, which is what we're seeing now in the Democrat debates. So that's my take on it right now. They offer nothing to America, and they'd rather see America burned down.
No, this analogy, though, is actually spot on. Like you just said, I mean, I'll make some crude analogy. It's like if you're at a party in high school, like a big fun party, everyone's having a good time, and a person shows up that you don't like, so you're going to call the police and have that party shut down. And then when the party's shut down and everybody's all upset, like, what the heck, man? We were having a good time. And you're like, yeah, but so-and-so showed up, so I shut it down. People are going to be like, what the hell? But that's what they're doing. Or like you're in a nice building, a nice apartment complex, and somebody puts in new wallpaper that you don't like, so you just burn down the whole apartment complex because you don't like the wallpaper. It's like, what are you doing? You're burning your own house. You're burning your own prosperity. They don't care. They're so blinded by hate right now, Mike.
Yeah, and the delusion is rampant. They've all been infested with all these delusions, even about global warming and rising oceans. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them pointed at the floor and said, oh my God, the ocean's right in here in the studio right now. It's rising to our ankles right now. And CNN would say, oh my God, you're right. The ocean's here. You know, I mean, they're so insane with this. First of all, you know, as we pointed out before, carbon dioxide is good for the planet. CO2 helps the planet become more green. So we should be happy to have more CO2.
No, we should stop teaching photosynthesis. It causes global warming.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Democrats hate plants. That should be their slogan. They hate anything
Go
that's
out
green.
and chop down a tree so that we can end carbon.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also they're in a delusional bubble on issues of spending. You know, they're complaining about all this spending right now, but they never said anything when Obama was spending money. Now, people like us, we criticize Trump for spending, yes, but we're consistent because we criticize Obama for spending. We have always criticized big government spending. But these Democrats have just discovered spending, and it didn't matter when there was a Democrat in the White House.
Hold on. The intellectual giant, Kristen Gillibrand, has just reapplied her makeup. Let's see what she's saying.
Quotes. It was the title of the op-ed. And that just causes concern for me because we know America's women are working. 4 out of 10 moms.
They caught Joe saying something
They're
sexist
the
in the
primary
past.
or sole wage earners. They actually have to
Darn
put
it,
food
Joe.
on the table.
Yep.
8 out of 10 moms are
what are you
working
complaining
today.
about? I haven't hugged or
Most
kissed you
women
lately.
have to work to provide for their kids.
Let me come
Many
over there and
women
give you a
want to
hug.
work
Yeah,
to
you
provide
need a
for their
hug, Kristen.
communities
Would
and
you like
other
a kiss?
people.
Let
So
the Vice
either
President
you
Let Uncle
don't
Joe
believe
blow you a
them
kiss.
today,
Let Uncle Joe help
or
you out.
What did you mean when you said it
From the
then?
very beginning,
Uncle
my
Joe.
deceased wife worked, but we had children. My present wife has worked all the way through raising our children. The fact of the matter is, the situation is one that I don't know what's happened. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. Lily Ledbetter. I was deeply involved in making sure the equal pay amendments. I was
Ledbetter?
deeply involved in all these
Just
things.
blurring
I came
words
up with
together.
the It's On Us proposal to see to it that women were treated more decently on college campuses. You came to Syracuse University with me and said it was wonderful. I'm passionate about the concern, making sure women are treated equally.
You used to let
I don't
me
know
hug
what's
you.
happened except that you're now running for president.
So I understand.
He'd practice that line.
That's what they did to Trump, though. Trump, like, when did I become a racist? When he ran for president, Trump.
But those words
So
are
now I'm a
very
sexist?
specific. You said women working outside the home would lead to the deterioration of family. My grandmother worked outside the home.
Well, my wife stayed in a
mother
home.
worked
It was
outside
better.
the home. And
Thank you, Senator
But again, see, this is what they do. They make these issues. It's like, okay, let's have a real issue. Let's have a discussion on a real issue of fatherless homes
Right,
or
yes, of
motherless
course.
homes or divorce rate or that. But they turn that into sexism.
I like Kamala Harris loves these things. Oh, she's ready to jump on this too. Joe is not woke enough. That's what this is all about.
For women to have access to reproductive health care, and including women who were the victims of rape
By
and
reproductive
incest.
health care, they mean
Do you
abortion.
now say that you have evolved and you regret that?
Why doesn't she just say, I'm more woker than you?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
look at her. Yeah. She's like talking down to Joe Biden, like, I'm scolding you, Joe.
Yep.
Yeah, who's the wokiest of the woke of them all?
This is that Joe Biden historically has opposed federal funding of abortions. That's what she's talking
And
about.
proposed it as of a month ago and then had to
Exactly.
retract it.
That those women have, those children have, and that they would then.
And she's recasting it as an issue of women and an issue of class and an issue of race.
Is that
Yes.
the senator knows that's not my position. Everybody on the stage has been in the Congress, and the Senate or House has voted for the Hyde Amendment at some point. The Hyde Amendment in the past was available because there was other access for those kinds of services provided privately. But once I wrote the legislation making sure that every single woman would in fact have an opportunity to have health care paid for by the federal government, everyone, that could no longer stand.
Okay,
I
Mike,
support.
I'm so sick of this. Listen to this. They have this whole thing now. They've been saying it multiple times. Healthcare is a right. Okay, fine. Let's add a new amendment that says healthcare is a right. Okay, fine. You have the right to healthcare. That doesn't mean that it's free. I have the right to firearms. Nobody's giving me guns. I can't just say, give me a gun. Give me a rocket launcher. Give me a pistol. I want an AK-47. I demand it from the government. No, I have the right to arms because that's a God-given right. I can defend myself. You have the right to healthcare in this country. You can get healthcare. Everybody can get healthcare. There's access to it. There's Hippocratic oaths. There's all this stuff. But they act like there's this, oh, because you have a right to something, now the government has to provide it to you.
Right. They're linking the two.
Well, no one has a right in America that requires the government to confiscate resources from other people in order to fulfill that right. So rights can only come from God and from your expression of your own inherent, what's the right way to say it? Your own inherent properties of owning your body, owning your thoughts, right to contract, and so on. So, of course, it's insane to say that they say you have a right to health care, but then they also claim that nobody has a right to freedom of speech because they all support the censorship of the tech giants. So their rights are all twisted. And by the way, they don't think Americans should enjoy all of these benefits that they're giving to illegals. So illegals are the highest priority here, not Americans, certainly not veterans and not homeless veterans who are suffering in liberal cities right now. So, yeah, be careful when they mention the word rights.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because it is the non-citizens that are getting the benefits more than anything of these Democrat policies of free health care. Homeless Americans, veterans, they don't get it. All right, let's go to Cory Booker.
Spartacus.
I will not set during a campaign an artificial deadline. I will make sure we do it. We do it expeditiously. We do it safely to not create a vacuum that's ultimately going to destabilize the Middle East.
He'll do it, except he won't tell you when he'll do it, which means he probably wouldn't do it.
To threaten our nation.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you're the only veteran on the stage. Please respond.
This is real in a way that's very difficult to convey in words. I was deployed to Iraq in 2005 during the height of the war, where I served in a field medical unit where every single day I saw the high cost of war. Just this past week, 2 more of our soldiers were killed in Afghanistan. My cousin is deployed to Afghanistan right now. Nearly 300 of our Hawaii National Guard soldiers are deployed to Afghanistan. 14,000 service members are deployed there. This is not about arbitrary deadlines. This is about leadership. The leadership I will bring to do the right thing, to bring our troops home within the first year in office, because they shouldn't have been there this long. For too long, we've had leaders who have been arbitrating foreign policy from ivory towers in Washington without any idea about the cost and the consequence, the toll that it takes on our service members.
John McCain and John Kerry, they meet with Syrian rebels and such.
Right,
so that's
end these wasteful regime change wars and bring our troops home.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Mr. Yang, Iran.
Trump probably does need to do that sooner rather than later.
No,
the longer we're over there, the worse it gets.
And this was something that he campaigned on that I wish he could follow through and really show. And he even calls out the military-industrial complex.
He does.
But Mike, I think our bet just got even more solid. I think Tulsi Gabbard is by far winning this debate right now. I think that those comments on the war in the Middle East definitely gave her a major push right there.
Yep.
And it wasn't just
absolutely. And also, this brings in the wild card of Michelle Obama, because looking at all these candidates or potential candidates here fall on their faces and unable to articulate their positions with anything resembling rationality, you have to think that Michelle Obama may be the savior that the Democrats try to bring in at the last minute here to have a viable candidate, or at least a candidate that they see as viable, even though the rest of America probably doesn't.
Well, and the two things with her is she would like people to try to recruit her as such, but not actually run. She has complete contempt for the political process. She basically doesn't like interacting with people. Ordinary people. So that's why, if you notice, you almost never see her out on the handshaking line. That almost never happens.
Well,
she's backing up on stage, and she's. I mean, like the people that I know that know her personally she hates politics and really hates the plebes. You know, the way she sees
right.
ordinary
She's got
people.
a pretty sweet deal right now. I mean, she's
also
fawned
cashing
over.
in big time.
Exactly. Yeah. So why throw that away and become the target of half the country? Politically speaking.
And
I agree
but not least, it would totally destroy her ego to lose to Donald Trump. So she couldn't handle it.
I don't know. You don't think those broad shoulders could handle the pressure?
No, judicious no comment.
Well, she could beat Trump in a tennis match, probably. Huh?
Yeah, that's probably true.
George Bush was
I don't know. I've seen the images of Trump's tennis. He gets his derriere behind every shot.
We have a president who'd be willing to beat the drums of war.
Robert, what do you think about the Hillary Clinton wild card here?
Hillary wants to be recruited like Hubert Humphrey in 1968, but there's a very, very little chance that will happen. The deep antagonism towards her amongst the Bernie part of the Democratic Party is big. And then the establishment doesn't want it. The reason why the Epstein case was a signal to her to stay away, so that all of that will come up big time. So she would like to come in as the savior and not have to campaign and get a rematch, but the establishment does not want anything connected to her because they see her as poison. They still think her distinct unpopularity is the reason why Trump won, not that Trump won.
Right. What's your take, if I could ask you guys both, as Joe Biden is speaking? What's your take on Joe Biden's neurology? He's fumbling through many words tonight, but doing okay at other times. Is his neurology even going to handle a couple more months of campaigning?
Well, what he definitely can't do is can't handle a couple more months of debates. I don't know how he survives. 10, I think it's 10 debates in total. 12? No way. I think tonight was a signal that he was trying to push back against the donors who wanted him back out by after they dragged him in. So see, I guess, are we close to closing statements? We may be.
This is the betrayal to the American people, to me, to my fellow service members. We were all lied to, told that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, this is great. Trump called this out.
And that this posed a threat to the American people. So I enlisted after 9/11 to protect our country, to go after those who attacked us
lied
on
to about that too.
fateful
Call
day,
that
who
out.
took the lives of
That was a deep state
thousands
lie
of Americans.
Joe Biden was part of that.
The problem is that this current
it's another
president
weakness of Biden.
is continuing to betray us. We were supposed to be going after al-Qaeda, but over years now, not only have we not gone after al-Qaeda, who is stronger today than they were in 9/11, our president is supporting al-Qaeda.
That's debatable.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Congresswoman.
All right, now let me answer your question though, Mike. This shows you how contrived it all is, because you can tell when Joe Biden is going off script. He's more fluid.
Yes.
He's more impassioned. He is more, vindicated, I guess you could say, or
He clearly has memory recall issues, and he clearly has cognition issues. He has difficulty with language combination. But as Owen says, when he's completely off script doing something that's instinctive from his gut, that's when he has the least set of problems. So that suggests memory recall is a key to his neurological defect.
But I think the key here to the whole debate optics is that it just shows you how contrived it all is.
Yeah.
That they all have this whole on-script message that they want to go with. This is not even a real debate.
No,
this is like half debate, half glad hand in hopes that maybe they can defeat Trump collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why this is really such a miserable failure, because it's not organic. It's basically really contrived.
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard's ahead so far in our social media.
We're going to get that one. It's going to be Gabbard #1 by far, and then probably either Harris or Yang.
Yep.
Maybe Bennett sneaks in.
Notably, there's nobody that captures the kind of magic that Barack Obama portrayed to his support base. Not even close. Barack
or Bill
Obama
Clinton did in the early, or Jimmy Carter did in '76,
But what was
or
the
John
backdrop?
Kennedy did in 1960.
But just look at Obama. I mean, whatever you want to say about who he really was and ended up being, what was the backdrop? Hope, change. I mean, people bought that. Nobody buys
absolutely.
this stuff. They're selling hate. Nobody buys hate.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, let's go back to the clown show here. They're going to make final statements soon.
Authoritarian against the actual Constitution that he swore an oath to uphold.
Oh, give me a break.
And so this is a difference with a lot of us on this debate stage. I believe that we in the United States Congress should start impeachment proceedings immediately.
Oh,
and I'll
yes.
tell you this.
Please.
Debbie Stabenow now has joined my call for starting impeachment proceedings because
For what?
he is now stonewalling Congress, not allowing or subjecting themselves to the checks and balances.
You don't want there to be a census question on citizenship. You don't want there to be a southern border. You want to have trillions of dollars funding non-citizens. What a joke.
He wants his second Spartacus moment. He wants to be able to say again, I feel today like Spartacus, like he did during the Kavanaugh
Thank you
hearing.
very much. Secretary Castro, what's your response?
Don Lemon, the dumbest man in television.
Candidates
Yeah.
to call on Congress to begin impeachment proceedings. There are 10 different instances that Robert Mueller has pointed out where this president either obstructed
So
justice.
this is
or
interesting. This is
attempted
the
to
first time
obstruct
Mueller's
justice.
been brought up in
And
two
I believe that
nights.
They should go forward with impeachment.
They don't want
proceedings.
that. That was
As to
bad.
The question of what my Department of Justice would do. I agree with those who say that a president should not direct an attorney general specifically to prosecute or not prosecute. However,
Like Barack Obama did with
Like
Hillary
Obama
Clinton.
did.
Like, clear,
Yeah,
if it gets
exactly.
that far,
Like Obama did to
that
spy
you're
on
likely to
Trump.
see
I mean,
a
what a
prosecution.
joke.
Like Obama did with Fast and
Secretary.
Furious, like
Mayor
Obama
de
did with the
Blasio,
IRS and Tea
bring up your
Party,
response.
like Obama did with Spygate,
Do they-
like Obama did with Ed Snowden.
I guess here's my question to both of you. Are they all right? They're here talking about impeachment. Just pull them down real quick. This is just a joke.
We're gonna put him in the background.
Hold on a second though.
Put him in the clown sack.
Let's put him in the
clown sack.
Let's put him in the clown car.
Do we
for
have
a
the
second
cloud
here.
horn? Do we have the cloud horn?
It's in the other studio. Maybe
Okay.
someone can grab it. But listen, guys, I'm serious about this. I want to get both of your take on this. Let me know when they do final statements, guys, because I do want to hear that. But I want to get your guys' take on this. Are these? Do you guys think? Are these candidates on the stage? Are they totally ignorant to what's going on? Like James Comey's about to get prosecuted. Obama's probably going to get caught up in all this, if not prosecuted himself. And that's just the beginning. You want to bring Mueller into this? Mueller's going to get tied into the Epstein deal. He was running the FBI when Epstein was a top informant.
Yes.
So let's go to Mike Adams and then Robert Barnes on this. I want to get your guys' take. So Mike, do you think these Democrat candidates are ignorant to the fact that Obama's about to be called out for treason, Comey's about to get prosecuted, and that if Epstein really brings anybody down, it's going to be Bob Mueller's FBI? Do you think they're ignorant to this?
They are living in a self-reinforcing delusional bubble of the Washington Post and New York Times and their own peers. And so they are actually ignorant of reality. But if they want to open that Pandora's box of Robert Mueller and what happened in the deep state under Barack Obama, we welcome opening that box. In fact, we should toss every piece of paper out of that box into public view. Let's look at Uranium One. Let's look at Robert Mueller's whole history of corruption with Hillary Clinton and the DNC. Let's look at Barack Obama's international money laundering, giving money to Iran to build nuclear weapons to destabilize the world. Yeah, let's open that box because they're not going to be happy about what they find in there.
What do you think?
I think Mike is right that the reason why they have to appeal to the pro-impeachment crowd, because the pro-impeachment crowd is very loud on the Democratic side in social media. So they're looking at, they don't want to be subject to any criticism on the social media world, the little siloed world echo chamber that they're living in. And for those purposes, they have this need. But I agree with Mike also, what Democrats recognize, like Pelosi and others and Schumer, is that it's a complete debacle and a disaster to go down the impeachment path. That's why over half of the Democrats in the House have still refused to sign on to impeachment. So I think for those reasons, it would be strategically a big error. But that's the other freedom up there. All of the candidates know, hey, I can call for impeachment knowing it will never actually happen and I'll never suffer the consequence. So I can get the bonus of saying, hey, I fought for impeachment and get everybody on the Democratic social media side to cheer me and have Seth Abramson write a 673 tweet about it, thread tweet
Literally,
about
it was like 713. But
Yes.
do you think Castro and his team just didn't get the memo? Don't bring up Mueller, because that was clearly something they never mentioned him last night. Russian collusion was a huge thing before.
One of my early bets was on Castro because Castro's at 1% in the betting market, so he needs to stand out. How do you stand out? Appeal to a bunch of crazy impeachment people. So he's looking at a different MO. In other words, the Democratic Party's interest is not talking about Mueller, but Julian Castro to go from 1% to 2%, which he needs to get on the next debates.
Very relevant, 2%. All right, let's see if Bennett's making any sense.
Exactly.
That's what we should do.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, gentlemen. The debate continues right after this.
So after this, we'll probably get the closing.
So yeah, we'll probably do the closing statements. We'll take all their closing statements after this. All right, Mike Adams, what do you make of our guess that right now Tulsi Gabbard is winning? She's going to win the Drudge poll. She's going to be Googled the most. And then behind that, I think we're thinking of Yang for giving free money and social media storm.
And then Harris because Joe Biden.
And I think Bennett maybe organically is drawing some interest just from
probably
centrists,
more than expected.
Just from centrists who just don't want like total loon shows. Just like, this Bennett guy kind of makes some sense. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you that Gabbard is leading this. And in fact, what's kind of magnetic with her and the Democrat base right now is really she's bringing out the anti-establishment fervor inside the Democrat Party without necessarily them realizing it. They don't like big government, but you can't frame it in that way. So Gabbard is saying, let's shrink the size of our occupation all around the world. Let's get out of these international conflicts. Let's not go with the system forever. And that's actually resonating with a lot of people on the left, even though she's wacky on a lot of other positions, of course. But she's resonating really with an anti-establishment slant on the issues of the day.
It's very much a pro-Trump position on the war. It's good for Trump if she carves out that message and carves out that base, because there is no way in the world the Democratic Party will ever let her get anywhere near actual institutional power. So particularly in the upper Midwest, the key for Trump was Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. He won all but Minnesota. He was very competitive in Minnesota. That's the key for the next election, 2020. And for that, there's a huge anti-war vote in the upper Midwest going back over a century and a half. So the more she talks about it, the more it's discussed, the more it reminds everybody that the other candidates in the Democratic primary, the ones actually likely to be nominated, are pro-war candidates. And the fact that she gets enthusiasm is a reminder that Trump is right about this message, and it gives Trump some political cover with the warmongers within his own administration. That, hey, look, this person always wins the Drudge poll, and that Trump always pays attention to that. This person's always winning with an anti-war message, so I got to stick with my anti-war base.
But Tulsi's anti-Trump rhetoric might hurt her there, which is kind of sad.
I think it will hurt her in votes, yes.
By the way, so CNN just took a break, folks. This is probably a $10 million break for CNN. Maybe even more. Maybe $20 million.
Insurance companies will be advertising.
Yeah.
Drug companies will be advertising.
It's just, here's the deal. If we had a 5-minute break where we could pull in $20 million, we could fund InfoWars for like 3 months. No questions asked. We don't have that. We don't have corporate sponsors. Look, they got big insurance running right now.
Yeah, there it is. Like you said, Farmers Insurance, right?
Big insurance, probably another big insurance ad, big corporation, everything.
They're showing like helicopters up there, so you're getting the whole company. You get pro-war, pro-insurance, pro the established medical industry.
Pro-pharmaceuticals. Yep. So it's all these big companies. But my point is this. We'll be lucky. InfoWars will be lucky if we can reach $1 million tonight doing all this extended broadcasts, and that's with direct donations to the donation page at InfoWarsStore.com. That's from people shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. We'll be lucky if we can get $1 million. We're not even, barely even halfway there. Our goal is $1 million. We're just over $500,000 from just this week plugging this donation page, plugging this money bomb. Now, we don't get to be on social media. We don't get to be on Google Ads. We don't get any of those benefits. All we have is you. You decide how far InfoWars goes. Alex Jones has gone all in. He's pushed all his chips into the middle of the table by having us on air, extended broadcast, hiring more people, hiring more crew. Quite frankly, we can't afford it. But Alex just keeps moving forward with it because he hopes that the audience is going to be there to support us. So please help InfoWars exist. Help us beat the censorship. Go to InfoWarsStore.com. Buy the toothpaste, buy the air filters, buy the emergency food supplies, buy the deodorant, the shampoo, all of it. InfoWarsStore.com. Donate directly using the donate tab. Again, CNN just made probably $20 million, a fake state-run CIA news op.
Yes.
And we just have to compete against them with your support. They're the establishment. They're the corrupt big guy. We're trying to take them down, and all we have is you. So, yes, please go to InfoWarsStore.com. Please support us. You literally make everything possible, folks. If you don't go to InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWars will not exist. That's what this comes down to. So it's literally all in your hands. CNN just made $20 million for running fake news propaganda. We hope we can make $1 million just to fund things so that we can have a crew here. So are they doing final statements right now, guys? What's going on?
Anymore.
Yes.
We can fight back. If you agree that we can stand up to Donald Trump and we can stand up to the wealthy, then go.
It's Trump's the problem, America's the problem, the rich are the problem. It's just shut up.
That puts working people first.
Yeah, Trump is the only one on the stage that would have hired anybody.
Thank you very much.
De Blasio was very successful at various scandals, though, in New York. Campaign finance scandals from big donors.
We have faced challenges that we've actually even forget, some of us tonight, how hard the people fought, how hard they worked. how hard they organized, the votes they had to take, the people they had to get to the polls to make this country more democratic, more fair, and more free. And now we have a person in the White House who has no appreciation of that history, who doesn't believe in the rule of law,
you just
who
cost
doesn't
yourself
believe
any
in the
momentum.
independence of the judiciary, who doesn't believe that climate change
You had
is
good
real.
momentum, Bennett. You just
I think that we
kneecapped
have an
yourself.
incredible
Orange man
opportunity
bad.
in front of us.
Orange man bad.
All of
Back on the loop.
to
He really
come
looks like the
together just
NPC
as our
candidate for
parents
Yeah,
president.
he
and
kind of
grandparents
does.
Yeah.
The
did
no
before
lips thing.
them.
He's got no lips.
You're right,
Face
that is it.
challenges
That's the
even
freaky
harder
thing.
than the ones that we face. But the only way we're going
Hair
to be
helmet.
able to do it is
Yeah,
to
the hair
put the
helmet didn't
divisive
help, you're right.
politics of Donald Trump behind us and the divisive politics of the last 10 years
Divisive,
behind us.
divisive.
We need to come together,
That's a drinking
united
winner,
against
divisive.
a broken Washington,
Another whiskey.
make Donald Trump a one-term president, and begin to govern this country again for our kids and our grandkids who cannot do it for themselves. We have to do it for them. Please join me at
anti-kid bigot.
michaelbennett.com.
Yeah,
Thanks
make
for
sure
being
your
here
kids
tonight.
and grandkids are paying for every other country's citizens to come here and get free everything. Give me a break.
We got glasses guy.
Decades, we
He
have
didn't wear the
kicked the
glasses
can
last time,
down
did he?
the
I
road
don't remember
of
him wearing the
climate
glasses.
change. And now
I
under
don't know.
Looks
Donald
really
Trump,
dopey.
He did a
we
Nazi
face
salute.
a
We'll see if they call
looming
him out on it.
catastrophe. But it is not too late.
Climate change.
We have one last chance. And when you
1
have
year?
one
2
chance
years?
in life, you take
That's what
it.
Al Gore said 10 years ago.
Think about this.
Democrats have been saying this for
Literally, the
100 years,
survival
literally.
of humanity.
My favorite was when it went from global cooling to global warming within a decade.
No, someone found an article.
Right,
It was like from 1912.
Oh, yeah,
Democrats saying that the Earth was going to be flooded from climate change. I'm not even kidding you. Somebody found it. So they've literally been saying this for 100 years.
of the next presidency. And I alone on this panel am making a commitment that this will be the organizing principle of my administration, not the first day, but every day. And if you share my view of the urgency of this matter, I hope you'll join me. Because we
Well,
are up
people
against
don't.
powerful special fossil fuel interests, and it is time to stand
It would be
up
awesome if
on our
they,
legs
if their
and
concerns dealt with
confront the
reality
fossil fuel
instead of
system.
just things they've all made up.
Because
Exactly.
that is our salvation. What it
But it's a
depends
power
on.
grab. It's not a real
So
policy
I hope you
solution.
will consider going to jnslee.com and joining this effort. And I will close with this. I am confident and optimistic tonight, even in the face of this difficulty, because I know we can build a clean energy economy. I know we can save our children and our grandchildren. I know that we can defeat climate change, and we
Defeat
will
climate change.
defeat
Imagine
Donald
that.
Trump.
I can defeat
This
Casper
is
the Ghost.
our moral responsibility, and we will fulfill it. Thank you very much.
We're going to defeat Bigfoot.
Senator Gillibrand.
We will stop Bigfoot.
Donald Trump has really torn
They're
apart.
they've declared war on combustion engines, which means the entire farming industry. By the
Hey,
way.
Yes, it
first
is.
word, Donald Trump. I wonder who is thinking about Donald Trump tonight.
That was a drinking winner, too. Drinking game winner.
I'm running for president
Debate bingo winner.
because I want to help people. And I actually have the experience and the ability to do that.
Did she help
I
people
brought
with that
Congress together
sex
and
cult she was a
actually
part
made
of or
difference in
connected to?
people's lives.
Hey, some people need stress relief.
I also
Yeah.
know how to beat Donald Trump. He
No,
has
you don't. You
broken
never have.
his promises to the American people. I've taken this fight directly to his backyard in Michigan and Ohio and in Pennsylvania.
Trump lives in New
and I'll
York,
go to
in
all
Washington,
the places
D.C.,
in
and
this
Florida.
country.
His backyard
I
is
will
now
fight for
Michigan.
your family.
His backyard is
Doesn't
in
matter
Michigan,
who you
though.
are.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Trump might take credit for that. It's like, yeah, the whole country.
Michigan.
That's my backyard.
He'll probably go there for a
Because
rally
that's
and
my
say that.
responsibility. And I've done this before. I started out in a 2-to-1 Republican district. I won it twice. I've never lost an election since. And I not only
Never
bring
lost
people
an
together
election before. Please don't let me
electorally, but
lose
also
now.
legislatively.
He's gonna
I
lose.
get things done.
Well, she has to
So
be in
we
it
need a
first.
president
Yeah.
who's not afraid of the big challenges, of the big fights.
That is Trump.
There is no false choice. We don't need.
I mean, that is literally
a
Trump. The
liberal
whole
or progressive
establishment
with big
against Trump,
ideas,
threatening
or
his
we
life,
don't need a moderate
Threatening his
threatening any of his
family,
friends'
threatening
lives.
finances.
But
Trump
yeah,
Obama
she's
voters.
going to fight the hard
You need
fight.
someone who can do
This
both.
dingbat.
And that's who I am.
Notice all the
The
best
sex cult
qualities they
facilitator.
describe are actually
So I can
describing
make
Trump.
the next debate stage.
Exactly.
Congresswoman Gabbard.
Thank you.
Gabbard just talking about war again
Now,
and throwing
Donald
big
Trump
tech.
and warmongering
Donald Trump
politicians in
again.
Washington have failed
Blaming
us.
Trump for the war.
They
He was
continue to
against
escalate
it.
Yes, of
tensions
course.
with other nuclear-armed
Trump
countries
did not
like
start
Russia
these
and
wars,
China
man.
and North Korea, starting a new Cold War, pushing us closer and closer to the brink
That's
of
just inaccurate.
nuclear catastrophe.
That's a lie.
Now, as we stand
Goodness,
here
that's
tonight,
Barack
there are
Obama
thousands
and the
of
New York
nuclear missiles
Times
pointed at us.
doing
And
that.
if we
Literally,
were to get an
Clinton,
attack
Obama,
right
and
here
Bush
tonight,
are
we would have
standing
30
in
minutes,
South Korea with
30 minutes
binoculars.
before we were hit.
Trump walked
And
into
you
North
would
Korea
receive
and
an
shakes
alert
Kim
like the one
Jong-un's
we
hand,
received in
and she
Hawaii
says
last
that's
year that would
warmongering.
say,
Trump
"Incoming
literally
missile,
said
seek
there were.
immediate
He didn't
shelter.
believe
This is
9/11.
not a
He
drill.
was against the Iraq War. He said there weren't
shelter.
weapons of mass
This is not a
destruction. He
drill.
was
And
against
you would
that
see,
invasion.
as we did,
This
as my
ticks me off
loved
about
ones in
Gabbard.
Hawaii did,
I think she's great. She's lying
there is
about
no
this.
shelter.
She's just flat out lying about
This
this.
is the warmonger's hoax. There is no
You're now
shelter.
hoaxing. You're
It's
now
all a lie.
engaging in the hoax, Gabbard.
As president, I will end this insanity because it doesn't have to be this way. I will end these
Again,
wasteful
she could
regime
get
change
so many
wars,
people behind her
work
if she
to
would
end this
leave
new
the
Cold
Trump
War
lies
through the
out of
use
it.
diplomacy to de-escalate these tensions and take the trillions of dollars that we've been wasting on these wars and on these weapons and redirect those resources into serving the needs of our people right here at home. Things like health care for all, making sure everyone in this country has clean water to drink and clean air to breathe, investing in education, investing in our infrastructure. The needs
she
are
needs to
great.
hit all the
As your
Democratic
president,
points
I
to
will
get to
put your
2%.
interests above all else.
Right now, she's not hitting for
Secretary
the September
Castro.
and October debates.
That's,
That's
a
what
win-
all that is.
That's a winning message if she leaves Trump out of it. But she can't do it. Like you said, she's got to do the Democrat knives.
Yeah.
You know, this election
Come on, speak
is
Spanish,
all
Castro.
about
I got a bet on that.
what kind of nation we're going to become. You and I, we stand on the shoulders
it's not about
of
what kind of
folks
nation
who have
America
made
has
beds and
made,
made
what kind of
sacrifices,
freedoms and prosperity and led the world in freedom. No, it's what kind of nation are we going to become where men can have babies and periods and we have no southern border and we have free health care for all costing us $500 trillion that doesn't even exist. That's the world we want in America. Woo!
Well, the difference of patriotism between the left and Trump is that for the left, it's creating a completely different country. It's not the America that we have or
That's
have
what he's
had.
saying. He's saying,
Exactly.
what is the
Their
America
definition
we
of
make?
patriotism is just to create an entirely new country that's about our constructs and our power, and it doesn't reflect American tradition or freedoms or liberty.
nation on earth. If you want to help me build that America for the future, I hope
that's
you'll
the
go
America
to
we already have that you hate.
JulianCastro.com.
Literally.
And on January 20th, 2021, we'll say together, adios to Donald
Ha!
Trump.
He spoke Spanish. I won my bet. I won my bet. That was all I just had to be one word. Just any Spanish.
Got it.
I got it. Cha-ching.
What he means is adios, America. That's what he means.
Yes, yes, that is exactly what he means.
On the stage in national polling.
Taking Ann Coulter's
It
book
was the
title.
fact that I wasn't wearing a tie.
I still
Instead
don't
of
have a
talking
tie.
about automation in our future, including the fact that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs, hundreds of thousands right
Yeah,
here
we
in Michigan.
shipped another 4 million
We're up
away,
here with
too.
makeup on our
Correct.
faces and our rehearsed attack lines,
Ooh.
playing roles in this reality TV show. It's one reason why we elected a reality TV star as our
closing
president.
statement here.
It is. Be prepared and prepped on this.
good. No, this
is
is
good.
good.
This
Yeah.
will help
To
him.
be laser focused on solving the real challenges of today, like the fact that the most common
He also
jobs
is using a
in
stronger
America
voice.
may
He
not
practiced
exist
using
in
a deeper
decade,
voice.
or that most Americans cannot pay their bills. My flagship proposal, the Freedom Dividend, would put $1,000 a month into the hands of every American adult, be a game changer
Free
for
stuff.
millions of American families.
Free
Cash,
money.
baby.
If you care
I
more
got
about
cash
your
right
family
here.
and your kids than my
Vote for me.
neckwear,
$1,000
enter
bucks.
your zip code at yang2020.com and see what $1,000 a month would mean to your community. I have done the math. It's not left. It's not right. It's forward. And that is how we're going to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
That's actually a strong closing statement.
That was
As ridiculous
good.
as it is, but
It was-
$1,000 goes a lot farther in Iowa or Kansas than it does in LA or New York. So how are you going to make up for that, though?
He's come up with a tagline, not left, not right,
One of the reasons
forward.
I respect this city is because it has the kind of defiant love.
All right, I don't even want to hear this idiot. Mike Adams, closing statements from you. I know you got to go here soon. Closing statements from Mike Adams, naturalnews.com.
Well, I just can't imagine having more fun than joining you guys trolling all these losing clowns. This has been an incredible amount of fun, and I hope your audience is enjoying it as well. But the bottom line is what we're seeing on display, on parade tonight with these candidates is rampant incompetence. A lot of maybe good slogans and some good delivery, but horrible ideas that would gut this country. Their number one goal, their shared goal across all these candidates is to destroy America as we know it today. And we, the people, and all of us at InfoWars, we can never let that happen. Tonight, the bottom line slogan is Trump is stronger than ever.
All right, Mike Adams, thank you so much. Much better than whatever Cory Booker said, I promise you that. Naturalnews.com, Mike Adams, always a pleasure to be joined. Hosts the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show and does a lot of great work over at Natural News. And I just want to say this, too, to kind of piggyback on what Mike Adams just said. Look, I mean, we obviously aren't going to be able to compete with the establishment news. We just can't do it. We don't have billions of dollars coming in, and that's fine because we have our audience, and you guys support us at InfoWarsStore.com, and you donate during these money bombs. But it cannot be overstated how important your support is. Telling friends and family about InfoWars. Telling friends and family, hey, are you getting iodine? Are you feeling sleepy? Maybe you're not getting enough iodine. Hey, try this nootropic Brain Force Plus I've been taking every morning. It helps me get focused. It clears the morning fog. I mean, help InfoWars exist. Help us expand. We want to defeat CNN that hosts, these fake debates and gets billions of dollars in marketing campaigns. All right, let's go to Kamala Harris and her closing statement here.
On the homeowners, many of whom lost their homes and will never be able to buy another. I've taken on the for-profit colleges who preyed on students, put them out of business.
She's taken on no one.
I've preyed on transnational criminal organizations that have preyed on women and children. And I will tell
like the international drug and human trafficking cartels?
In the White House. And I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump has predatory nature and predatory instincts.
That is
and
you.
The thing about predators is this.
All right.
By their very nature, they prey on people.
This is one of the most arrogant bitches I've ever seen in my life.
They perceive to be vulnerable. They prey on people who are in need of help.
You know what? Turn her down. Get that. Excuse me, Lord. I'm sorry. Robert Barnes. No, get her off. Robert, tell the truth about who Kamala Harris is.
I mean, one of the most corrupt politicians in the history of the state of California, enabled major polluters to do what they're going to do, connected to corporations like the Lennar Corporation. You can look that up. They're sort of like the DINCOR of the contracting industry in aspects of their controversial involvement in government cleanup projects, controversial involvement in whether or not they stole $1 billion from the pension funds of people in California, that she is a recipient of campaign funds, that Dianne Feinstein, her co-senator, her husband, has investment ties to various companies, part of the cleanup efforts at Hunters Point in San Francisco that's tied to corruption in Lennar. And that's just one example. It's a microscopic example of a macroscopic problem.
What about her as a prosecuting attorney out there, or as all the people she put in jail?
She did more to cover up prosecutorial abuse and misconduct and evidence that proved people's innocent than any attorney general in the history of the state.
Yeah, she had innocent people put in jail knowingly.
Not only that, she had innocent people on death row, and that she knew there was evidence that proved their innocence. She knew that evidence had been hidden and covered up, and tried to continue to cover it up to courts so that those innocent people would be wrongfully executed.
Wow, I would almost make an intellectual argument that Kamala Harris was trying to murder people. All right, let's go to Joe Biden.
We're in a battle for the soul of America. This is the most consequential election any one of you,
won
no
the
matter
soul
how
of
old or
America.
young
This is
you
what
are,
they're missing.
has ever participated in. 4 more years of Donald Trump will go down as an aberration. Hard to overcome the damage he's done, but we can overcome it.
The damage he's done.
8
Record
more
economy,
years of Donald Trump
record
will
job
change
growth,
America
trying to
the
bring
fundamental
manufacturing
way.
back,
The America
patriotism
we know
ignited.
will
I mean, this is
no
hilarious.
exist.
This is the soul
Everybody
of America.
knows who
This is the
Donald
soul of
Trump
America.
is. We have to let
More
them know
people have
who
bought a
we
Betsy
are.
Ross T-shirt
We
in the last
choose
month
science
than in
over
the
fiction.
history of the world.
We choose
That's the
hope
soul of
over
America.
fear. We choose unity over division. And we choose,
as they sit up here and divide,
the idea that we can, as Americans, when we act together, do anything. This is United
this is
States
Trump.
of America.
And his message, this is Hillary 2016, Stronger Together.
Never been unable to overcome whatever the problem was. If you
Such
agree
as
with
neurological?
me, go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight.
I think he got that.
Thank you
was
very
tough.
much.
That was very tough. He could remember what the number sequence was. Go to Joe.
Wow.
Joe 30303.
What was my name?
That can't be right. Joe 30303.
What? Joe 300? Maybe
can somebody
Joe
look up
3000.
Whatever number he put? Why that number doesn't even make sense. Why are you?
He's a cartoon superhero now. He's Joe 3000.
Joe 3000? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the 3000 version of Joe Biden.
Listen, if you were as upset, I'm serious, man. I can't stand Kamala Harris. I have instincts to just read. She talks about predatorial instincts.
Yes,
I have
she
instincts to
It's
take
projection.
down predators. Like, I have an instinct to call out liars and frauds. I can't help it. I was born with it, quite frankly. Sometimes it's a burden. I mean, it's a blessing here on air, but it's a burden in a lot of situations in life. If you are, I'm sickened. I'm literally sickened I'm sickened by Kamala Harris. I'm sickened. I'm nauseous. She makes me sick, that fraud, that witch.
Joe's trying to sniff Tulsi's hair.
Joe is trying to get a little cop a feel on Tulsi Gabbard. Whatever. Yep. We can't blame
Hey, I'll give him credit for that. Uncle Joe's like, okay.
Yeah, he's got to get one last swing at Tulsi. She might not make the next debate stage. But listen,
that's true.
If you're as sick as I am with Kamala Harris, folks, please go to InfoWarsStore.com. Put on Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste on auto ship, okay? Put Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste on auto ship. If you want to stick your finger politically in the nose, in the face, in the eye of that arrogant bitch, Kamala Harris, that arrogant witch, nothing would make Kamala Harris more upset than if you went to InfoWarsStore.com and bought toothpaste or deodorant or the Real Red Pill Plus or a t-shirt. Nothing would make Kamala Harris more upset than if, out of spite, because you can't stand the lies of Kamala Harris and you shopped at Infowars.com just out of spite for Kamala Harris, nothing would anger her more. Nothing would make us more happy. Please go to InfoWarsStore.com and shop with us so that Kamala Harris cannot defeat reality with her lies. All right. So let's do some final comments here, and we're going to switch it over to the rest of the crew. Again, folks, please shop at InfoWarsStore.com. Please support us by donating at the donate tab for the money bomb. All right, I think we're both probably still confident. Tulsi Gabbard, the winner, will win the Drudge Poll easily, will probably be the most Googled name. Kamala Harris will slip in just because of, an arrogant bitch like that is naturally going to get Googled. Joe Biden said Google her too. I think Yang made a strong finish. That may boost him up to number 2, perhaps, over Harris. Mm-hmm. And then I think Bennett is kind of just the wild card that was kind of interesting enough, centrist enough that people may be curious to see who he is.
And I think from a betting markets perspective, I think Biden probably will improve just because he was being understated in the markets compared to his polling position. And tonight, at least, he came back fighting. He came back with counterattacks on other people. He attacked Booker. He attacked Harris. He attacked Gillibrand. He attacked de Blasio. He was attacking people that are 1% in the polls. So I think that I think he showed some backbone even though he's continuing to have neurological problems, but I think we have a better read on what those problems are, because when he speaks instinctually, when he speaks from his heart or his soul, then he's actually not having the neurological problems. When he tries to stick with the script, he has problems, which means it's a memory recall that's increasing the neurological gap that leads to the word problems, the verbiage problems, the train of thought problems. So he clearly still has those problems. This is now the second debate. It proves the first debate was not a fluke. These are health problems he did not exhibit at any time in his political past. He's been in hundreds of debates over his political career and tenure. This is the first time we're seeing these kind of speech problems. So what InfoWars brought to the world before anybody did is now being proved and confirmed. And the reason why there was this massive effort to suppress InfoWars, remove it from Instagram, make it effectively a Facebook crime to even reference the name Alex Jones in a positive way on Facebook or Instagram, was because we were ahead of the curve, and Alex was the first one to forecast it, saying, look, he's got neurological issues like Hillary had. And unlike Hillary, he can't even cure him temporarily for a debate presence. So I think long-term, Biden showed he is not the answer for the Democratic donor class, but short-term, he gave himself an additional boost by being sufficiently competitive. He's even got Al Sharpton to shake hands and smile with him on the cameras tonight after the debates. So he's parlaying that, playing that card as best as he can as the old-school Democrat. He did correctly point out that their health care plan is insane. Their immigration plan is insane. Many of their budget plans are insane. Many of their tax plans are insane. That many of them are lying about their current past. That here Booker says he wants to do something about criminal justice. In 8 years as mayor of Newark, did nothing to cure the problems of criminal justice. Kamala Harris says she cares about criminal justice while she was literally putting innocent people to death that she had evidence of that she was trying to suppress as a prosecutor, covering up for other prosecutors.
If Trump did that, there'd be top stories saying Trump is a murderer.
Oh, exactly. No doubt about it. There'd be over and over. And then he was a racist murderer, no less, because I'm sure there were disproportionately African-American Latino that she was letting get locked up and letting get locked away. So I think we see those dynamics. We see Biden trying to make the rounds to show he's normal, but I'll bet even money that he will avoid the press circuit behind the debate stage. There's a whole bunch of press people there that you can interview with. My guess is he will dodge them again like he did after the first debate. And
it's bedtime.
That's right. It's nighty night, and he got his little feel up with Tulsi, and he's at least they're smart. They're lining up people that are mostly men to interview him. They want to make sure that he's not near any women or girls that he can start sniffing or grabbing. There's a Democratic version of a woman that's a little bit different. The judicious no comment on some of the people that he's photographing with. But I think what we'll see is I think Biden did decently. But he's not going to be any contest. If you're Trump, you feel great tonight. If you're Trump, you saw all the Democrats take hits on the stage. You see Joe Biden is not capable or competent to be a meaningful challenge, even worse health-wise than
But also think about this. Any solutions or any issues that were being raised tonight that were legitimate, which there were a couple, I'd say maybe 5 to 10% of the debates tonight were anything even based in reality, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all issues that Trump is either addressing, campaigned on, or just go right up Trump's alley.
Or there are issues where the candidate that has Trump's position on the issue will never be nominated, like Tulsi Gabbard or or if it's Andrew Yang talking about Democratic Party corruption. These are people the party's never going to put into positions of power or influence. So that when they talk about those issues, it just reinforces him and gives him political cover against the deep state operatives within his own government that don't want him to pursue an anti-war agenda, that don't want him to pursue certain foreign policies. He can point to Tulsi Gabbard's success and things like the Drudge poll from the debate to reinforce his own political instincts. You see Al Sharpton's just trying to do his little preach and speech routine with everybody.
Al Sharpton, what a con man.
A top-notch con.
I mean, by the way, what they got Manafort on, Al Sharpton is guilty of tenfold.
Oh, not only that, Al Sharpton was doing it through fake charities. So, I mean, that's the other. It was a double level of abuse what he was doing and getting away with. But they were afraid to go after him.
Al Sharpton is the one that keeps black people impoverished.
And before there was racial hate hoaxes, he was the king of racial hate hoaxes in New York City. He made himself famous.
Yeah, he's the Don King of fake hate crimes.
Exactly, completely, by far. That's what he's always been. He's praised Trump for 30 years before Trump ran for office.
Do you know, though, I mean, Bill Clinton's cousin said he had a nose like a vacuum cleaner. I mean, was Al Sharpton ever skiing with Bill Clinton?
I do not know that. I mean, I'll give Al credit.
Judicial no comment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Big Al was a little more honest to who he really was than Skinny Al. Skinny Al pretends to be the corporate shill compared to being
you got to lose weight. I mean,
but Fat Al was much more. You knew exactly what you got with Fat Al. With Skinny Al, he pretends to be something totally different. That he's not this hustler trying to push racial hate hoax politics for his self-empowerment. Instead, he now pretends to be an honest representative of the African-American community, even though he's never been elected to anything within the African-American community for a position of power, influence, or moral say. So so we'll see. I mean, I think as a whole, if you're Trump, you're feeling pretty good tonight. You see a lot of weak opponents, people that don't scare you or intimidate you. You might even feel a little bad for Joe Biden, watching him bumble and stumble on the stage. And you don't see any long-term threats.
I don't know if he feels bad.
But. Yeah, it might not go that far. At times, it was that way. At times, it was like watching even like someone you didn't like turn old, like that character in Breaking Bad, where the really bad gangster can't talk anymore, and then ultimately blows himself up to get back at other people at the end. But it's so bad when he's trying to do his little thing on the keyboard or whatever to speak because he can't verbalize.
Someone will go back. They'll probably make a compilation of all the
stumbles and the bumbles.
All right, so we've got it in. So
stumbling, bumbling, fumbling. We won again.
Bob Barnes. Bob Barnes will do it again. Right here, Bob.
One and yeah, exactly. We got number 1 and number 2. Gabbard number 1, Yang number 2.
And look at Bennett sneaking up there too.
Yeah, that's true.
So there you go. So Gabbard 1, Yang 2, just like Bob Barnes and I predicted.
Yep. And we said Biden would probably have the best surprise night from a betting perspective, and he's number 3 up there.
I'm surprised at the de Blasio.
So if people were watching and betting, they made money on InfoWars broadcast tonight. Just like they made money on 4 nights in a row.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not even. You called it though. It's because we're objective. That's the most frustrating thing to me. Is that
independent.
I'm honestly objective. I call things as they see them. I came out of the sports world, a play-by-play commentator. I can't help it. That's my instincts to call things as I see them. But yeah, not just political debates. I mean, we predicted the Epstein thing. We told you about the chemicals in the water. I mean, literally, the world government, all of it.
Animal-human hybrids. You know, that's on the front page today about Japan.
By the way,
9/11.
Go to Judge. 9/11. Go to Judge right now. Go to Judge right now. InfoWars predicted it first. They said, we'll have 500,000 people cross the southern border. I came on and I said, it'll be more than 1 million. New numbers, over 1.1 million expected to cross the southern border. You watch. Exactly. That'll be 1.5 million by October. Bob Barnes, great stuff, as usual. Folks, please support us at InfoWarsStore.com so that we can defeat the fake news CNN and maintain political influence in the censorship world. Rob Dew, Will Johnson, Harrison Smith coming up.
Serving with InfoWars is a great honor. but I still need my morning coffee. And luckily, our break room at the InfoWars headquarters is stocked full of high-quality InfoWars Store Patriot Blend coffee. Grown in the high mountains of southern Mexico, the Chiapas farmers grow 100% organic, non-GMO coffee at the ideal altitude for the perfect cup. A robust coffee with great flavor and mild acidity. There has never been a more important time to support InfoWars. So if you love coffee, and if you want to fight for freedom, then you can help. Order now at the InfoWars store. Sign up for AutoShip and get your own high-quality supply of Patriot Blend coffee delivered right to your door at InfoWarsStore.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you, the InfoWars Life protein bars are really popular around the InfoWars office. I mean, people around here cannot get enough of them, I'm telling you. In fact, myself included, let me just show you why the InfoWars Life protein bar is so popular, man. This thing is like a double fudge brownie. Look at that, wrapped in peanut butter with peanuts in the middle. I mean, you cannot get a better tasting protein bar than this. And that's why people around the InfoWars office are going crazy for them, and we can't even keep them on the shelves. But they're on sale for 40% off right now. So get your InfoWars Life protein bar 40% off at InfoWarsStore.com, and you can be just like the crew around here, enjoying the best protein bar on the market. But